Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. What if Naruto was reborn in the Soul Eater world? Part 3. Heave ho, said Patty as she cheered Naruto's clones as they rowed the boat. Kid was in his Shinigami cloak that made him look like his father while the others were in their usual wear. Kid was standing on the front of the boat while the original Naruto was resting against the back with Liz resting against his shoulder, snuggling up for warmth. Why are we out here Naruto-kun? Asked Patty tilting her head. Otu-san said that something had swallowed the town and its people so we are investigating what could have done it Patty-chan, said one of the clones as he rowed. At least, that's what the people who were saved from the Kokuryu said, explained Kid taking off his mask, and I can sense countless souls in the area Patty. A shape then became visible in the mist as Liz started to wake seeing the shadow, Naruto-kun. What is it? She asked rubbing the sleep from her eyes. The ghost ship Nizuhag Liz-chan, said Naruto, our mission, minions toward the ship, he said getting a groan from the two clones as they directed the rowboat toward the ship. Wait a second, that's a ghost ship. Monsters will definitely be in there, said Liz panicked but was calmed down as Naruto tuned her to him and gave her a small kiss. It will be fine Liz-chan, you have me, Patty-chan and Kid to look out for you, he said smiling at the blushing girl. Oh, okay, she managed to say as they got onto the boat with Liz hugging Naruto's arm for protecting as he held his staff in hand. It seems that there are souls on board here, we're going in, commented Kid getting a nod from Naruto as he pulled Liz along and Patty skipped her way in as an unknown pair of eyes watched them. They walked below deck and found a room with numerous souls floating around, so many, muttered Liz. What the hell are they going to do with this many souls? Taking souls like this is unforgivable, said an angered Kid. Whatever it is they are doing we best put a stop to it, Kid can you help them pass on? Asked Naruto not liking the situation in all honesty. Yes, as a Shinigami I'll take care of them, he said reaching out with his hand only to stop when he found a gun in his face. What's that boy? You're a Shinigami, said the captain spirit of the Nizuhag as he fired at Kid who dodged sacrificing his cape. Nizuhag, the captain shouted as the floor beneath Naruto and Liz opened up and they both fell through. Naruto, Liz damn it they separated us and I can't use Patty without Liz, said Kid as Patty said to him, Nei-chan will be fine, Naruto-kun is with her hehe. The spirit came out of the ship, this ship and I are one and the same. You all walked into my stomach and all that's left now is to digest you, it said. Are you an evil spirit and why are you collecting all these souls? Questioned Kid, I really don't understand you Shinigami. These souls are to be offered up to Kishin-sama, said the spirit. Kishin, Ragnarok, he said shocked. That rookie is of no importance, the Kishin-sama who is closest to you. For that person's sake, said the spirit cryptically. Meanwhile down below Liz and Naruto were walking through the halls, Liz literally hugging Naruto's arms for security, not that he minded. Naruto-kun do you think Patty and Kid will be okay up there? She asked. Tough to say Patty-chan I'm not sure Kid can use just Patty-chan on her own without you but best just to get out of here first, he said giving her a reassuring smile. The sooner the better I really don't like it here. It was less scary when me and Patty worked the streets of Brooklyn. But that all ended when we got high and tried mugging Kid, guess our luck wasn't the best, she said dismissively. Naruto shook his head, no I think it's the opposite since Kid found you and brought you back home with him. He gave you a purpose instead of mugging people plus if you hadn't met Kid you would have never have met me, he kissed her on the cheek and she got pink in the cheeks. I guess you're right there, I think I'll thank him when we are done here, she said smiling. You're going the right way, said a voice that echoed. Both Naruto and Liz turned to see a spirit of a young girl floating in front of them. Liz began shaking but Naruto wasn't affected. Hello there, who might you be? He asked. I'm a ghost of a young girl eaten by the ship. I'll guide you to where your friends are, she said. Thank you miss. Liz-chan don't worry she won't hurt you and I'm right here, he said trying to calm his girlfriend down. It was not helping much so he released his tails and wrapped them round her. This seemed to relax her. Feeling better? He asked getting a nod from his girlfriend as the ghost girl and several other ghosts helped them back outside onto the deck. Get ready, said Naruto taking stance with his staff. Soul resonance, he said softly as the staff changed to a large hammer that had a spike at the top, Levy's big hammer, small hammer from D. Gray man do not own. As the weapon formed Kid and Patty were blown out from underneath the deck. Oi Liz, it's your fault that I wasn't able to use Patty, he said angrily making Naruto bonk him on the head with the hammer. That's your fault, he said deadpanned. You won't escape, said the spirit phasing out of the deck. Liz, Patty transform now, ordered Kid. The girls nodded and changed into their gun form as Kid held them upside down as his usual style. I know it's your style but why do you hold them upside down Kid? Asked Naruto still unable to find a reason for his brother's way of handling his weapon. Symmetry, he said making Naruto facepalm. I wish I knew how your mind works, but then again, he mused as a blade went through the captain's mouth, a black blade. The demon's sword, said Naruto, observing Krona slice through the captain before stabbing her blade into the deck. Ragnarok, she muttered before she stared screaming with the blade. As she did, the souls of the ship started rising from below before heading toward the blade that had a mouth open on it. Shit, they're being sucked in by the blade, said Naruto, panicked at the souls about to be consumed. Goodbye, Oni-chan, Oni-chan, said the ghost of the girl before being sucked in as Naruto reached out for her. Damn it, unbelievable, said Naruto and Kid as they just watched the souls were taken right in front of them. Then saw Ragnarok come out of Krona's back and change shape as his neck extended and his arms turned to wings. The true black dragon, muttered Kid, did you know my blood is black? Said Krona, making Kid more angry. Shinigami Kenpo, stance of sin, he said as he got into battle stance and Naruto jumped into the air. Ban, 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 he called out as the hammer's head increased in size and he slammed down on Krona. Everything is scary, even your hammer. Power, even if it's in your grasp, do you know how to use it? She asked. Where as hell do you know? She pointed to her head. It's inside your head, so don't get in my way or I'll kill you, she said as Naruto spun the hammer round to blow Krona into the air. How dare you take those innocent souls? Out of fear, he shouted as Kid took over and started pelting Krona with bullets, victory and the like obtained through power. Is that how you free yourself from fear? He asked. Naruto and Kid jumped above her and slammed her back. If you want to remove your fear, face it head on, said Naruto, and strengthen your soul, said Kid as they slammed Krona back down to the deck. Both landed back on the deck. Nest and tidy, commented Kid as Naruto suddenly slammed his hammer down onto the deck. Fuban, as shield of wind surrounded them as Krona attacked from below. Her, Screech Beta, was blacked by the wind shield and she flew into the air. If even Usagi-chan couldn't understand my feelings, someone like you shouldn't be able to either, right? Questioned Krona. Usagi-chan doesn't understand either. There's no way a Shinigami or Hanyu like you could understand. Leave me alone, she said as Naruto finally got a good look at Krona's eyes. Kami, what happened to this girl? It looks like Gaara when I look in her eyes. A harsh upbringing and conditioning caused this, commented Kyuubi. Yeah, another example of what I could have become, he thought in reply. As he was thinking, the remains of the captain began shooting at him and Krona, only to be blocked by the shield still, but Krona flew higher. The demon sword's wavelength is increasing, commented Kid. I hate everyone, hate, people who can't put themselves back together will be blown away by my scream. Screech Alpha, she shouted as she sent an extremely large shockwave at the boat, slicing it perfectly in two. This ship is going down fast. Kid, I can't fly like you and there's no seal or kunai on the girl to teleport to. I have to retreat from here, can you and the girls handle it? Asked Naruto, getting a nod from Kid as he summoned Beelzebub to chase Krona. Naruto in his current situation used Hiraishin to get back to the academy. When Naruto arrived back at Shibuzen, he arrived in the nurse's office due to habit and caught the end of a conversation between Stein and Medusa, but is it something a nurse would do, or a witch? This annoyed Naruto. Stein, he said strongly, releasing some intent and his aura flared. What do you think are doing accusing Medusa-chan? Back off now, he added his full demon voice to set a point and now had red eyes. Medusa took to Naruto's side and grasped his hand. Naruto-kun, it's alright, Stein's just being mean. Saying that there's something wrong with my looks, it's almost sexual harassment, she said, pouting and rubbing circles into his hand to calm him down. Ahahaha, if you're worried about looks, I don't think Naruto cares much. Besides, Naruto, I meant nothing by it, just a slip of the tongue is all, no hard feelings, right? He said as he pushed on the chair and falling over. That's my chair, commented Medusa as Stein closed the door. She turned her attention back to Naruto. You okay, Naruto-kun? She asked, trying to read him. He was taking calming breaths now, collecting his thoughts. Yeah, just don't like it when people that I care for are accused of something horrible and I'm a little annoyed at the mission I had to leave, he said, sitting on the bed and began to talk with her. Meanwhile, outside, Stein was on the chair he pilfered, smoking a cigarette. For a moment then, I felt intent from both of them, but Naruto, I swear I saw my death, he said, taking hold of his arm. I'm still shaking from it. Fear, thank you, I started to forget. Now then, what to do, he said, pushing his chair into the hall where Sid was waiting in battle gear. How was it? He asked. There's no mistake. What about the location of Medusa's house? Replied Stein. I've confirmed it, said Sid. Don't go in too far, and don't let Naruto know. If he finds out, it could get messy. Hell, he showed me my death for suggesting she was a witch, said Stein, leaning deeper into the chair. We need proof, don't we? And if there's evidence of her being a witch, Shinigami-sama will know what to do with them both. Hope he doesn't take it hard though. Naruto cares for them all and he really doesn't need another betrayal, commented Stein sadly at the last part, knowing most of Naruto's past from Shinigami-sama. While Sid left for his mission, Medusa was giving Iruka her own mission via telepathic message so Naruto wouldn't take note. She hoped she could convince him when the time came. A few hours later, Sid had found Medusa's house and discovered her plans in her diary only to be blown away by Iruka's egg bombs, and she made her way back to Death City with the attaché case that contained the black blood. It was Christmas Eve and the day celebrating the foundation of Shibuzen. All the students were arriving in formal wear and ready to party all night long. Naruto, Kid, Liz and Patty were welcoming guests into the ballroom, the sisters in matching outfits, Kid in a nice white shirt and Naruto with Kyuubi both in full suit, half suit for Kyuubi, complete with silk mask since it formal clothing. They spotted their friends Maka and Tsubaki in very nice dresses, Black Star and Soul opting for suits except Black Star looked like he'd neglected his clothes. Naruto, why do I have to wear this thing? It itches even if I do look good, said Kyuubi. Oh come on, it's rare we have to dress nice, and besides I'm letting you at the buffet, he replied. Seriously? He got a nod. Well, I do love a good buffet. Seems Tsubaki fits that dress nicely, he said, smirking as Naruto blushed slightly. Yes, she does indeed, but I just wish we could have let Blair-chan come along, but Otu-san did say students and staff only. Ah, the kitten will be alright, plus you have a clone with her for company just in case, so stop moaning and find that Medusa. I'm sure you have a lot to talk about, said Kyuubi as Naruto nodded again. Hey everyone, you look good tonight, commented Naruto as he discreetly made a clone that fixed Black Star's clothes without much hassle. So do you, Naruto-kun, and thank you for Black Star, said Tsubaki, noticing him and Kyuubi. Couldn't you take off the mask for one night so we can all see, Naruto? Whined Maka, slightly getting nods from the other boys. Sorry, Maka tried to get him to take it off before said that would deprive you the challenge of finding out what's under it. For those who don't know, said Kyuubi, sending a glance to Tsubaki, who had seen his face when it was torn in the fight with her brother. After Kid's attempt at a speech being interrupted by Black Star, the party had started and a few students were dancing already, and it seemed that Maka had been dragged to the dance floor by her father. Maka, sometimes I wish we could be like we used to before I made all those mistakes, said Spirit, shocking Maka. I know I was stupid and shouldn't have done a number of things, but I can't change what has happened now and I have to live with it. My time talking to Naruto showed me that being me is inevitable, but I can try and make it so it won't affect your life too much. Maka was in awe at her father's words. The fact that he was admitting he was wrong and accepted that he couldn't change what had been done surprised her and made her feel a little admiration toward and Naruto, apparently for showing talking to him. I still want you in my life, Papa. Just tone down your behavior around me, please, she requested, getting a small smile from Spirit. No promises, he said, laughing. On the other side of the room, Naruto was dancing with Medusa held close to him. You look beautiful tonight, Medusa-chan, you know that, right? He asked, getting a giggle from his girlfriend. Well, you don't look half bad yourself, even if you partner did get into a small eating contest with Black Star, she said, earning a groan from Naruto. I swear he can't stand to lose, but that's what makes him my partner. Also, I got you and the girls something, he said, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a small necklace with a ruby as the jewel. All of his girlfriends, Tsubaki isn't in, but she got one too, secretly, had gotten their necklaces and each had a different jewel. Call it an early Christmas gift, Medusa-chan, he said as he tied it round her neck, taking in her scent as he did so. Hope you like it, he said, smiling under his mask. Medusa touched the jewel and could tell it was real from one glance and smiled at her boyfriend's gift for her. Oh, and one more thing, when were you going to tell me that you're a witch, Medusa-chan? He said, making her eyes go wide and look into his and see deep pools of blue. If it was just you being a witch I would have no problems, but your plan puts hundreds at risk and back into a war between factions. Why, Medusa-chan, I wanted to be with you and the others, said Naruto, now a sad look in his eyes. How did you find out? She asked as her mind tried to figure out what to do, since you killed one of the Mizune sisters that night. Iruka is bugged with one of my seals I placed on her when she was shocked by my eyes, so you've had an unwilling spy the entire time, she cursed when she heard this. They continued to dance, no one else the wiser. To answer your question, I did this because the idealism that with Shibuzen protecting the earth, it is stopping evolution even though each generation improves, and Shibuzen being a deterrent to the world. Eventually we'd start living through the same kind of life every day. Did you want that, Naruto-kun? She asked, hoping that he'd leave the other girls and be hers alone. I love you, Naruto-kun, and want you to be by my side from now on, she said, leaning closer. What do you say? Do you want to join me, my love? She questioned, lowering his mask to kiss him, which he accepted, and both reveled in the feeling, with Naruto crying as he knew this would be the last time he could do this. The kiss ended and Naruto looked at her with tear-filled eyes. I love you too, Medusa-chan, but I can't join you. Everyone, quick, get out of here, shouted Stein, looking heavily injured despite Naruto's clone following him and protecting him from the blast so he could dig underground. Stein, they were waiting for this day, the day when Shinigami-sama leaves Mirror to reunite with the teachers of Shibuzen, said Sid as Stein, Maka, Soul, Kid, Liz, Patty, Black Star and Tsubaki all stood round him. Where's Medusa? Said Stein as Medusa had run out the window and Naruto just stood there, as his features came out due to free releasing his soul protect. Sid had to use his soul resonance to allow those around him to escape as space was being distorted around him and Naruto left in a red flash. A minute later those saved from the trap fell through the ceiling and found Naruto waiting for them, his mask still lowered and hands to his face and on his knees. Patty walked over seeing him and held his head in her arms stroking his hair. 8 witches and the demon sword, this is bad, commented Kid, what's happening to Death City? Asked Maka. An emergency situation, let's calm down and listen to me, said Stein, the Kishin of the first generation is resting underground and now Medusa our resident nurse wants to resurrect it, we can't allow that to happen, he continued. Naruto's body shook strongly as he got up to reveal red eyes and his whiskers widened and thickened, so Medusa wants to release something bad, must be the reason why Shinigami can't leave the city, said Kyuubi taking over as Naruto had relinquished control to him. Correct, but why are you talking Kyuubi? Asked Kid. Naruto had discovered Medusa's true self months ago but hoped his time with her would deter her from her plan. He'll be calming down for a few minutes while we head off to stop her and her group, he said. Wait, you mean Naruto knew about Medusa being a witch all this time and said nothing, why? Asked Stein. Would you or anyone else want to condemn someone you love because of what you were? Naruto can't stand doing that after his childhood so he accepted. I however question her in that she didn't tell him despite sharing some of his deeper secrets with her, he said snarling at the woman. I see. Anyway, let's not waste the chance Sid gave us, as the last hope for Death City. I'll guide you to the entrance of the basement, said Stein as he gave them a chance to change into their usual attire before heading with Stein. Back in the independent cube made by Free, Shinigami made his way to talk with Sid as he leaned against the wall. You alright, Sid-kun? He asked. Yes, but I'm sorry. I would have helped you escape but you were too far away in this space. No, I'm sorry, I shouldn't make excuses, forget what I said, was Sid's reply. No, you made the best choice for the situation. Although I'm concerned about Naruto-kun, said Shinigami. Why? Asked Sid. From his past, Naruto-kun had dozens of people try to get close to him when he was younger just so they could try and kill him. With Medusa's betrayal, I fear it may break him when he has come so far, and if Asura is awakened, who knows what the madness could do to him, he finished. Is he that dangerous? Shinigami nodded. If he wants, he can grow to the size of a mountain, original size of Kyuubi, for his fox form. Sid shuddered at what damage could be done. One of the students then asked about the use of Soul Protect, which led to Shinigami explaining that the Kishin Asura was sealed beneath the school and that Asura was once a powerful warrior under Shinigami. He was mistrustful of everyone around him, which is the primary reason why he covered his body with a ridiculous amount of clothing. However, despite all his immense power, he was persistently terrified with the greatest fear that was possible. So in order to protect himself, he became obsessed with power and, forgetting all discipline, began eating the souls of innocents who were not listed by Shinigami. This fear eventually drove him to consume even his own weapon partner, causing him to be consumed by madness and become the first Kishin. Shinigami was forced to remove all of his skin and use it as a seal on Asura, to trap him under the school. Shinigami then proceeded to root his very own soul to the area surrounding Death City, in order to stop Asura from ever awakening again. But it's said that if he ever was released, the consequences would be severe that anyone could imagine. Outside the Shibuya, though the remaining Mizuno sisters were terrorizing the streets of Death City, destroying buildings and slicing up civilians, Blair had been told by the Naruto clone that they had to find the witches and stop them. They were both in their animal forms as they dropped by a fish shop Blair had gone to regularly only to see it destroyed in the fish cellar under the rubble. Hey, you still alive there? Asked the clone, getting a groan from the man. Both heard the noise and looked up to see the 5 remaining Mizuno sisters. That's them, Blair-chan, but remember, don't kill them, only knock out. Your training will be tested out tonight to see if you can beat a witch, said Naruto as both jumped up to slam one of the sisters down. The sister got to her feet and floated up to her sisters. Mizuno family, you have no reason to be here, leave now, said Naruto, only to be cut by the sisters. Beam Hige. This made Blair angry. Hey, no one hurts Blair's boyfriend, clone or not. The sisters laughed with their usual chi-chi-chi. Time to teach you mice some lessons, said Blair, preparing to fight. Back underground, the students and Stein were running through the hall, not yet encountering any foes. We've been running for quite a while, say Maka. Can you sense the resonance of the witches' souls ahead? Asked Black Star. She can if I can, but there's a lot of power so it's difficult to pinpoint, Black Star, said Kyuubi. I see, that sucks, I thought that was your strong point, Maka. This earned him a slap in the head by Kyuubi. He and Maka felt a soul. Stein-sensei, said Maka. There's a soul in the shadows I can sense, she continued. Indeed, but I don't think we need to worry too much about this soul, Maka, said Kyuubi as Spirit walked out from the shadows. Hey Kyuubi, how is Naruto? He asked, knowing Kyuubi's voice. Extremely distressed over Medusa's betrayal, sad to say Naruto has seen enough to cover a couple of lifetimes. Wait, he's coming back, said Kyuubi as his body jerked and his eyes opened to reveal Naruto blue. Naruto? Asked Stein, getting a nod as Naruto formed his ninjutsu. Well, it's a good thing you're here, senpai. I was anxious to know how far I can go without a weapon. Spirit nodded as he shifted into weapon form. Everybody, I don't know what is waiting for us ahead. Please take your weapon form and don't return to your human for a moment, as only one attack can take your life, said Stein. No doubt that the group will have set itself so as to slow us down and prevent us from getting to the black blood, came the voice of Kyuubi from his weapons as Stein nodded in agreement. Hey, you hear that? Asked Black Star, hearing footsteps. Yes, I can hear that, said Maka. To come against all of us from the start means that it must be someone who is very confident and really strong, said Stein, and somebody who can defy this amount of people and fight back, he continued as Medusa walked out in front of them. So it you, she said. Everyone here is the plan, said Stein as he explained that he would fight Medusa, Kid and Naruto would go ahead as they were the fastest. Black Star would fight the demon sword with his wavelength so the others could get past, and Maka would get past Medusa and Krona so he could catch up with Naruto and Kid. But promise me that in the end the only thing you protect is your lives, you understand, finished Stein. A strategy plan under the enemy's nose, I heard everything, smirked Medusa. Well, you are the resident nurse of Shibuzen, Stein shot back as he took off his glasses, still seems you don't know when to shut up, do you? And what of you, Naruto-kun, finally decided to take up my offer? She asked. Naruto lowered his head so his hair covered his eyes. I gave you my answer, Medusa-chan, I love you but I can't. I already died once to stop war and I won't let it happen again, he said as his image faded into leaves as he appeared behind Medusa running ahead. Fine, I'll just take of the rest of them so I can keep you to myself then. Snake, Cobra, Vector Arrow, she said, launching her spell at the others. Black Star and Kid made it pass easy via Beelzebub or Yodo, but Maka had a tougher time not being as fast. Before Medusa could get a second attack on Maka, Stein hit her with his Soul Menace. I seems I planned my strikes badly. I didn't expect those three to get past. Naruto-kun was a given. Still, I stopped Stein and that was the goal of this round, since it's no problem if those three go ahead, said Medusa, readjusting her hood. I wouldn't underestimate them, however I feel I need to ask why you aren't worried about Naruto's effect in your plan. Knowing him as I do, I know he could get past the demon sword and stop Asura's revival, said Stein, flicking the cigarette in his mouth. Even if he tries, Naruto-kun would most likely have to get close to Asura and by affect his wavelength. Knowing him as I do, I can tell it would put him to a stop, said Medusa. As Naruto and Kid sped past Krona, Ragnarok said, hey, did two powerful energies just run by us? That's no good, they both passed too easily. I will get scolded again, I hate that, she said. Black Star then arrived. Hey, it's you, Demon Sword, you have the honor to be my opponent. But with someone like you this won't be much of a show, he said, smacking his fist to his palm. Wait, Black Star, shouted Maka, you're slow, you need to be quicker, commented Black Star. I'll fight her, said Maka, but Maka-chan, Professor Stein said it would be Black Star who fights the demon sword, said Tsubaki, even though she wanted to go ahead and join up with Naruto. Maka put the blade of her scythe in front of Black Star. So model a student, Maka is disobeying a teacher's orders, you finally reached that rebellious age, he joked. Shut up, she said, smiling. That's good then, I leave this to you, Maka, said Black Star, rushed ahead and Maka blocked off her attacks on Black Star and their battle began. Back with Stein and Medusa, they were currently in before battle banter. It seems your weak daughter has chosen her death, said Medusa, trying to entice the weapon. My daughter isn't weak, Medusa, said Spirit firmly, idiot father. For the moment I'm the only death scythe in Shibuzen, so I won't forgive you if the first Kishin is released. I can't allow you to release the Kishin into the world, Medusa. I must defeat you quickly, he finished. Also, it's better me and Senpai finish you off. Naruto doesn't need the pain of you being alive when you betrayed him. Especially since he helped you dance with your daughter happily, Senpai, said Stein. As true as that is, Stein, be more attentive or you're going to miss something, he said as Stein chuckled. I really hate it when you ignore me. It's really unpleasant, said Medusa. Oh, really, retorted Stein. Both flared their wavelengths, and if one could see you would notice the intensity of their souls. That's better. Now to kill you and claim my prize, said Medusa. I'm afraid Naruto will have to wait. Look at your feet, said Stein with a grin. Medusa looked down to see that her feet were sewn to the floor. You've sewn my feet, when? She asked, shocked by whatever the technique was. Soul threads, the inside of your body was damaged by the soul menace. The frequency of my soul put an electrical charge in your body, and in the form of string allows me to sew your feet to the ground, he explained. And you think that will be enough to stop me? She asked, annoyed at her mistake. It's not a simple technique. The control of the frequency requires extreme precision, commented Spirit. I see the alliance of the best Meister and a death scythe, said Medusa as Stein charged forward and hit her with another soul menace, forcing her into the wall where she was sewn to. Successive palm soul menace. 3 extremes, Wei, Wu, Shu, exclaimed Stein as he hit Medusa 3 times. This is the end double soul menace twin lance, but before the attack struck, Medusa could be seen smiling. You made some progress, but not in the good way. Vector plate, she said as an arrow appeared beneath Stein pointing away from Medusa and forced him away. You should know a taken woman doesn't like other men getting too close, she smirked as one of her serpent tattoos released her from the threads. What was that? Asked Stein. By standing on the arrow you are pushed in the direction I choose. She dropped onto the plate below and shot forward. Of course I can use it too for specific trajectory. Vector plate, she said as 3 arrows appeared around Stein. And I know that you are afraid of hand-to-hand combat, she said as she blindsided him with a roundhouse kick to the face, as I thought it was useful to train myself a little. She made another plate below Stein. Come back to sender, she said as Stein quickly sewed himself to the floor. And now your body is sewn to the ground. Do you see the irony? Said Medusa as her tattoo came out of her body. Serpent whip, she shouted as the tattoo sped towards Stein. Extraction, said Stein releasing his threads and using the arrow to boost him forward. Perfect timing, you choose a good moment to release yourself, commented Spirit as Stein attempted to strike Medusa. Stream vector, said Medusa as a barrier of arrows sliced into Stein, forcing him back. There are hundreds of snakes in my body. Only people I allow can get close to me. So far only one person has done that. Now stay down, she said. That was close, now we know we must avoid close combat. It's not like handling a normal witch, as a doctor my attempts must have made you laugh. Still your abilities are deceiving, like your personality makes me wonder if you truly care for Naruto, commented Stein. Everything I feel for Naruto is real and true, I wanted him to be by my side, said Medusa fiddling with her necklace. He told me he knew about me being a witch and didn't care, so once this is over we can be together again, and what I want to possess I never let escape, he said as vector plates appeared in a circle around them allowing no escape. Stein, now that you can't get away let me finish you so I can be with my love, she said smirking. Stein got to his feet. Fine, but I have a question. Where did that girl with the demon sword come from? I can guess that the sword itself was a creation of the Kishin, is it? Then what will you do to resurrect the first Kishin? He questioned. In fact you don't have any intention to go near the barrier of the first Kishin. Because the risk is too big if you profess the black blood, then what will you do to that girl if you don't have interest in her? Stein continued as he smirked. Well, your experiment was a failure. That's the best news of the year. Medusa then started laughing. What's so funny? Nothing. You are just simply rude. In fact Stein, it is impossible for me to fail. But my true research was on the black blood. Only one result was enough to lure you. And to answer the question of where did she come from, she came from nowhere. Krona is my real daughter, she said smiling evilly as they felt the black blood resonance from the other room. So the black blood is moving, excellent, she said. Back outside, Blair was still fighting the Mizuno squad for taking out the Naruto clones. Multiple attack, she said as she managed to hit the first one into the ground, then blast the next 2 with her smashing pumpkin. She narrowly dodged a beam he gave of the 4th before kicking her strongly. Even if Blair's a girl, I'm only kind to certain people. NYA, she said, landing gracefully as only one Mizuno was left floating. I can't fight against 5 at once. NYA, this sucks, she said as the last sister began chanting Chi-chi-chi, while snapping her fingers, an action that was followed by the other sisters as they started assembling on top of each other. There was a puff of smoke and out of it came a Mizuno in a more mature form. Don't raise your head, pussycat, you look like a poor kitty with no way out, commented Mizuno. Blair changed into her human form wearing her usual hat but wearing a black overcoat, complete with a fitted mesh bodysuit that stretches from her neck down to her thighs, and a purple mini skirt. She was also wearing her necklace she got from Naruto before he left for the party, that was an amethyst cat's eye jewel. Her new attire was what Naruto suggested in case she got into a fight, as the clothes would suit her style like they had Anko. She turned back to Mizuno. I can also be a provocative animal, she said as the two walked so they were face to face. I'll eat you, kid, said Mizuno. The bigger the mouth it has, the nastier things it says, Blair retorted as Mizuno grabbed one of her breasts and squeezed. What a vulgar body, she commented. Still a brat, huh? Blair said, and not one to back down. She lifted the top part of Mizuno's clothes to reveal her breasts had. But let's see what you have under here. Mizuno blushed but then felt a strong punch to her abdomen as she flew into a wall. Pumpkin cannon punch, Blair muttered. Mizuno crawled out of the wall. What was that? She questioned as she knew that the punch wasn't ordinary. Magic fist technique. Naruto-kun showed me new ideas for spells and found a new style for me to fight like this. Gentle pumpkin palm, she said, rushing Mizuno with her palm and struck her while she was off guard and left an pumpkin indentation in the wall behind her as the blow hit. Damn witch, why are you fighting for Shibuzan? She asked angrily. Blair flipped back for safety. Blair doesn't fight for Shibuzan, I fight for Naruto-kun. This is his home and mine, so we promised each other we'd both protect the place we met. NYA, she said firmly, chanting, pump pumpkin pumpkin. Mizune charged at her, activating her beam Hige spell as the beams extended from each fingertip. Enough, you stupid cat, Mizune shouted. No, twin exploding pumpkin, she exclaimed as she shot out both fists and two giant pumpkins came from them that hit Mizune point blank due to her spell's need for close combat. Once Mizune hit the ground, Blair snapped her fingers. Pumpkin chain, she said as Mizune was bound by several chains that had pumpkins as links before she placed a paper seal on Mizune's exposed stomach she had from her hat. Mizune immediately tried escape by transforming into her mouse form but found she couldn't. What did you do to my magic girl? She shouted, losing her cool. Sealed it with my boyfriend's spell tag. You see, Naruto-kun can make these paper charms that can do a number of things that require his particular type of magic. However, we found out that if you charge a sealing tag with regular magic like mine, it can be used to seal other witches' magic. NYA, she said, looking down at the witch. Funny thing is, Blair isn't a real witch, so you just got beaten by a magic cat. Too bad you didn't take me seriously, and good night. NYA, she said, chopping the back of her neck like Naruto taught her and using a floating pumpkin to take her and Mizune back to the mansion in the room Naruto created in case he found another witch and wanted to talk to her. Blair had helped construct it so that it would drain magic from the witch inside and prevent her from doing anything. Please be okay, Naruto-kun. Blair is worried something bad will happen to you tonight, muttered Blair as she looked back to the academy that had been damaged by Mizune and her sisters with the independent cube still in effect. The battle continues. I do not own Naruto or Soul Eater. Bold for Kyuubi. Italics for thoughts. Notes. Hope you all liked the twists in the previous chapter, although the Blair fight was on the fly, but I think it was okay. Anyway, on with the story. Naruto and Kid stood in front of a hall with several tadpole bombs floating around them. It's disgusting, how can you live without symmetry? Muttered Kid as Naruto remained quiet. We can get through here easily enough, just don't provoke them, advised Liz to her partner. Unfortunately, his OCD kicked in and he dropped to his knees. I'm not feeling well, I can't look at that, he said with a hand over his mouth, earning protests from his partners. No, I understand, for him a place of no symmetry is like a place filled with monsters. Anyone is afraid of that kind of place, said Liz. Oni-san, that's a nice explanation, but what if they are all simply bombs? It's pretty scary too, her sister commented. Come on, Kid, everyone is fighting to the death. If you give up now, the Kishin will be reborn. If the Shinigami don't go, who will? Said Liz, trying to motivate Kid as he continued his depression. Liz figured she'd have to make Patty use her scary voice, but both her, Patty, and Kid felt themselves be lifted and placed onto something. Kid looked to see that he'd been placed upon Naruto in his horse-sized fox form and one of his tails holding him in place as he ran down the hallway, rushing past the bombs and avoiding the blasts. Meanwhile, up ahead, Iruka and Free were getting closer to their target. We must inject the black blood into the Kishin. At that time he will be defenseless, then Medusa can kill him, said the witch, riding on her familiar Otama Jackson. Now it's my turn to play, I'll give you some time. But you must lend me your familiar, said Free as he ran beside her. What do you want Otama Jackson for? She questioned as he skidded to a stop and began chanting, then smirking. That's good, I anticipated that, he commented. X break X. We now turn to Maka's fight with Krona. Maka now under the influence of the black blood so that she could fight against Krona in Ragnarok. However, she only could do this so long before hers and Soul's sanity were taken over completely by the blood and the little demon he had inside. Both girls were fighting with almost no regard for their health and slashing at each other with no form. Maka proceeded to push Krona's head down the blade of her scythe, and Krona retorted with a stab to her shoulder. Soul watched as his partner acted like a complete moron as she began biting Krona's head. If you continue like this, it will be the end, said Soul, trying to fight off the effect of the madness. Despite her outward behavior, Maka was trying to help Krona as she tried to find her soul. Yes, I understand, we can make you regain mental health now that you are conscious. I'm experiencing the same madness as Krona. I'm facing Krona, her wavelength, she thought as she drifted through the abyss of souls. She found her soul, Soul's soul, and finally Krona's, her soul. It's beautiful, she thought. As she embraced the soul, she found herself overlooking a beach without water and a small Krona inside a drawn circle. She began walking toward Krona when she found she looked younger, and there was a small boy with blonde spiky hair and whisker marks on his cheeks walking toward the circle. Naruto, is that you? She asked the boy. He turned and nodded. No, I'm just a bit of his power he put into a seal on the back of her neck. But I'm here to help you with the girl Krona, he said as Maka nodded to him, thankful for the help. Hey there, what are you doing here? Said Maka as she and Naruto waved to the small Krona and began crossing her line. No, wait, don't enter the circle, it belongs to me, it's my place, she protested as both with ease crossed the line. So it's just a line, said Naruto, smiling at the girl. I'm so afraid, you entered so easily even when nobody ever entered, said Krona, shocked at what was happening. You don't understand, it's only in this circle that I can remain calm. It doesn't make sense that you both can enter here, she said with a sad face. Naruto patted her on the shoulder. You don't need this circle to keep calm, he said as Maka said, we just have to erase it. Krona began protesting, but Naruto raised his hand. You know, I was almost like you once, not understanding anything and scared of what I didn't understand, but you don't need to isolate yourself. Look, he said, smiling as he showed her that the circle was erased into the sand now. The girl began cracking and Maka made her way out of her soul as the piece of Naruto remained and looked at Krona. It's unbearable not being in contact with anyone. Years I spent tortured by those I expected to care for me, but eventually I found friends. They helped me to understand things more, he said, hugging the girl as his legs started to fade. Then I found my loves that showed me that when someone cares for you, the pain can go away. Krona, you are still young, too young to be like this. You need friends to help you, and there's one waiting outside for you, he continued. But what if I can't make friends? I don't know how to deal with it. It seems scary and I'm not sure what to do, said Krona, holding on to the boy's shirt. You're a tough girl, Krona, like your mother. Despite what she has done, you still have our sanity. I just wish the Medusa I love was the one who raised you, but it's different. Beside, you don't have to worry, you'll have Maka-san as your friend and me when you see me, Krona. Now go out there and find your friends and remember my name. Uzumaki Naruto Dadbeo, said Naruto as he faded, and Krona found herself now regular aged and being hugged by Maka. Maka, she muttered. I'm here, Krona, she said. Naruto said you'd be my friend, is that alright? She asked as Maka took off her glove. Of course I'll be your friend, Krona, if you like, she said, gesturing her hand. Krona began crying. I didn't know physical contact could be so comfortable, she said as she sobbed. Soul watched from the side, having felt Naruto when he had appeared in Krona's soul. Naruto, do any of us truly know you? Are you afraid to touch other like me? He thought. X break X. The scene shifted back to Medusa and Stein's fight. By resurrecting the Kishin, what are you going to do with the girl and her sword? Questioned Stein. By creating her, you finished your research on the black blood. It mean that your goal is to perfect it, then what are you going to do? He questioned further as Spirit thought, abandon her. What an embarrassing question, do this. Do that, continuously giving orders. I brought up that child to be completely dependent, simply a useless creation, Medusa said with no guilt in her voice. I think I became like a mother, she commented. But you don't care about the girl, you told us that before, she your child, said Stein, his anger building by the second. Then what will you do? He asked. What do you want me to say, idiot? Are you even able to understand that it's not reasonable for me to take care of a person in need, except him, she though to herself. It's because she's a child that it changes something. Histories of abandoning children are so boring, that what? Happy, at least I'm relieved, she finished as Spirit took human form and smacked her in the face. You bitch, you say you don't care about turning your own flesh and blood into a weapon. If Naruto finds out, you'll never see him again. You've done what was done to him and you still have the gall to say you care for him, he shouted as her held her hoodie and she just stood there. I bet you never cared all those times he spent time with you. You probably laughed at the boy for trusting you, even considering going out with you. I pity him for probably just being another test subject to you, he continued to rant as Medusa got an angry look and sliced at him with a few snakes. Silence, don't you dare insinuate that any time we spent together was meaningless. Naruto-kun was the only person I liked in this damn city, I enjoyed every moment we had. He shared with me the scars he wears every day and the ones he never showed, he told me about his wives and his home in confidence. I never betrayed that trust, she said with fury in her eyes and stuck her tail down into the ground. The relationship difference between him and my daughter can't be comprehended by you two idiots. Now come and fight so I can teach you to keep your mouth shut about things you don't understand, she finished, beckoning the two to fight back. Maybe so, but you still didn't care enough to not betray him or realize that what you have done has only added to his scars now. Naruto taught me how to improve my relationship. It only seems fair I improve his by taking you out, said Spirit as he turned back into a scythe. Indeed, one less pain for him, commented Stein. Naruto was still running while carrying Kid on his back but started to feel strange and began seeing flashed of dead bodies in his mind, causing him to stumble and fall over his feet. He changed back into human form and caught Kid. Naruto, you feel it, don't you? The Kishin's wavelength? Asked Kid, concerned over his brother. Yeah, it's giving me a headache, he said quietly. Kid, only the first Kishin arrived here, right? So how can you and Naruto-kun feel it? Asked Liz, concerned over Naruto. How? Another impertinent question. I heard the whole thing from my father. I know the whole story in detail. My father put down Asura to defeat and seal it. He took off his corporal envelope, said Kid. Your father? His is really strong, then why? Asked Liz as Kid interrupted. He created a container specifically for imprisoning Asura. The best prison for containing his soul and crazy spirit was his own skin, but he removed the two. And my father forgot about Asura's blood, he said. And now after being trapped for 800 years it's probably thirsty for blood, commented Naruto as his ears twitched and pushed Kid put the way and ducked as a massive blast went over him. Thanks Naruto, but where did that attack come from, said Kid as Naruto pointed toward the werewolf in front of them. It seems that I can fight the fox again, how fun that I can prove the better species, said Free as he got into stance. Naruto began chanting to himself as he held out his hand. Vul, Vul, Vulpus, Vulpus, he sighed and a blue flame ignited in his hand, fox fire, and threw the flames at Free as Kid took shots at him. The blasts went through him. It's useless, I'm immortal, he commented as he dove forward to attack. I don't care if you're immortal, burn to ashes, shouted Naruto as he sent a stream of fox fire at the werewolf who continued his assault regardless. Sorry your flames aren't enough to beat me, he taunted. In that case Liz, Patty, executor mode, said Kid as his pistol shifted to cannon form. Evaluation of the resonance, stable. Noise, 1.8%, feedback in 5 seconds, came the voice of Liz as the guns charged. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 shoot. 1, sang Patty, death cannon, proclaimed Kid as he launched his shots. Kid though that he'd finished him but felt Naruto's tail grab him and pull him away as Free came out of the smoke. Fox tail inferno, said Naruto as the remaining tails launched fireballs in the shape of small foxes at Free. He stood there. Kid, any ideas? Asked Naruto, but Kid had begun to notice how none of the room was symmetrical and was confusing himself over it. Thankfully before he got too far into his own madness Black Star arrived and kicked Kid. I got ya, he shouted as Free sweat dropped at the boy's antics. We won, no chance. The Kishin won't be reborn, he shouted again. You're joking, this guy still has the black blood, shouted Kid as he got to his feet. What? But what is this mess? That sucks, what were you doing? He asked before truing his attention to Free. And who are you? He asked. Our opponent now, come on Black Star, said Naruto as he formed his ninjutsu and rushed Free with Black Star next to him. This is bad, before they used long range, now that those two are going for close range, it could be a problem, thought Free as he dodged their attacks only to find himself slashed by the two in precision movements. As they made their cuts Naruto and Kid noticed something, but before Kid could comment Naruto sped ahead. Wait, why'd he run ahead with the enemy in front of us? Asked Black Star. Because he figured out that he isn't here, said Kid as he literally walked though Free. It's an illusion, he said as Free's form changed back to human. Guess you figured it out. Spatial magic, holographic vision, said Free as he began putting his shirt back on. Black Star, come on, there's no time to waste, Naruto has already on the move, said Kid as he summoned his board and Black Star began running after Naruto. Ahead of them Naruto was running full pelt despite being assaulted by more images of dead bodies, and the further he went the more clearer the bodies became, the faces nearly in focus. He began to feel fear as he ran and honestly didn't know what was going to happen. However, both Free and Iruka had made it to the door for the Kishin's chamber. Look Iruka, we're here, said Free as he and his partner stared at the door. The Kishin is in there, said Iruka shaking. Let's hurry, we need to catch up with the brat, commented Free as he pushed the door open. Walking through, both began to hallucinate due to the Kishin's wavelength, seeing grotesque images their faces ripped off before coming to their senses before they seriously injured themselves. What happened to us? Asked Iruka. The Kishin's madness, said Free as they spotted the bag holding Asura. X break X. Back with Medusa and Stein, he and Spirit were having trouble fighting Medusa. No matter what techniques I use, her snake tail is maintaining her balance. This woman does not have a weakness, thought Stein. Medusa isn't trying to win but to delay us, that explains her flawless defense, thought Spirit. Stein, you haven't fought with someone for a long time and lost the intimidating feeling within you, he commented. Shut up, I'm trying to get the feeling back, he said as he took a deep breath and let his natural curiosity and madness set in. As his anxiety subsided, Spirit thought, the strongest technician of Shibuzen, this guy is so naive for a sadist. Stein's expression changed to a more relaxed one as Spirit said, remember Stein, there is one way to make her lose her concentration, we know it, you just have to pull it apart for her, he said as his partner nodded. He charged forward as before he swung said, he loved Blair before you. Medusa's eyes widened as her arm was sliced into by Stein as she pushed him away with her snakes. Oh, so it does work, didn't think that would work really. This will be a fun test, he said with a grin as the two began trading blows, each getting hits in as Stein continued to make Medusa lose focus by stating the obvious facts about Naruto. You know, I find it frustrating when I see how everyone is taught how to behave, rules set down by gods. However, it more fun for you to see that you weren't his first love here, but his fourth. No matter what you do, you'll never be first in his mind. That belongs to the kitten that helped him smile again, he said laughing madly. Medusa got enraged as two snakes formed a drill around her hand, heart-piercing drill, she exclaimed as she thrust her drill into his abdomen. Before I dissect you, I want to know how it felt to betray him, and how you cling to the illusion he'll go with you, said Stein smirking. Medusa scowled. Just stop talking, she said as Stein went in with a frontal palm attack. I want to dissect you and I do it to help out Naruto, he shouted as he pushed through several arrow snakes she used to slice him. Soul menace, he said as the attack hit her hard and something on the back of her hoodie lit up. Looks like I underestimates you, but it doesn't matter. He'll be mine when the Kishin is reborn and you can't stop me, she said as blood spilled from her lips. Her snake tail now poised to strike. You're dead, I want to chop your head off, she said as Stein muttered, Senpai, don't lose focus. The tail stopped just before it got to his neck. The tail stopped. No, my whole body, she said in disbelief. Soul sewing diffusion sutures, he muttered. What's going on? I haven't been stitched anywhere, said Medusa. Look carefully, there are even stitches inside your body. Your whole body's nervous system has been sealed up by the stitches, he said, taking a breath. She giggles. What's wrong? Use the scythe in your right hand to kill me. Aren't you in a hurry? She asked. I'm carefully controlling the enormous wavelength. Concentrating is already very difficult. I can't even lift a finger, said Spirit. It doesn't matter, once these stitches are gone you die by the snake by you next time. In any situation the snake will be faster than your scythe, she said, laughing only to stop as chains sprouted from her back and wrapped around her and her snake holding her tightly. Looks like he finished the seal, said Stein. What is this? Questioned Medusa, not knowing how the chain got on her, and Spirit had said he couldn't move. Naruto has a gift to create chain with his soul on his wand. He asked for my opinion when he was trying to create a paper seal to release the chains so he could capture witches rather than kill them there. My guess is when he was behind you he had placed it without you knowing and would activate after a strong enough wavelength passed through. I guess this means we win, Medusa. Your betrayal led to your death, although I don't doubt Naruto will mourn you, at least he'll have the others with him, said Stein as he waited until he could strike. Despite the chains, the seal was relatively weak and needed Naruto's wavelength to work properly. With the seal not being supplied by the wavelength, it would hold for a brief second before breaking, and he needed the perfect moment to cut her in two. X break X. Meanwhile, Iruka was unsealing the black blood from the case she had along with his syringe. Looking at the statue now, it was supposed to be a statue of God, but after absorbing the insanity of the Kishin it became like this. The insanity also made us hallucinate, commented Free. Iruka filled the syringe with the blood. It's done, she said. Hurry, the kids and that fox will be here soon, said Free, to which she replied, okay. She then heard footsteps. She turned to see the blonde-haired boy heading for them with his features out. Stop right there, he shouted. He lunged forward only to be blocked by Free and punched away. When he tried to get to his feet, the visions he was having as he passed through the halls became clearer. He saw them, all his previous loves around him, looking as if they had just died then and there. He couldn't help but stare at their faces, lifeless eyes of those who failed to save. Kyuubi was unable to help him as Asura's wavelength was blocking him from talking to Naruto. He dropped to his knees and screamed at the top of his lungs as he couldn't face what he was seeing again after trying to forget these images in his mind. It was then Kid flew in and spotted Iruka with the syringe. He tried to get Iruka but was stopped by Free, and when he tried to counter was caught in the hallucination. Naruto, on the other hand, was not able to break the hallucination due to the trauma associated with what he was seeing, so much so that the skeleton of the Kyuubi was forming over him as it did when his emotions ran wild. Black Star at this point and was using his Yodo form to get to Iruka quicker, coming close to cutting the syringe but was stopped by Iruka's familiar. She managed to get the syringe to the bag and was attempting to pierce it to push it in. Black Star pushed Yodo mode so he could make it. As put all his strength into the resonance and moved to cut the syringe, which got clean cut in two before the black blood was inserted. Yes, I did it, he huffed. The Kishin won't be resurrected now, he proclaimed, only to have a wavelength of madness wash over them all and a deafening scream to call out. They turned to see Naruto with a strange skeletal armor, his eyes glowing brightly so that you couldn't see the color, and his skin looking like it was burning all around him. Think the six-tailed form only with all the tails. Stein and Spirit felt the wavelength, then heard the scream. Medusa heard it and felt whatever had screamed wavelength. Naruto-kun, is that you? What is that pain? She muttered as her eyes turned toward the hall. Stein saw his opportunity and released the stitches and sliced Medusa clean in two. Kun, she said as she felt her torso separate from her legs and fall to the ground. You did it. I missed it though, said Spirit, seeing as Stein had moved with lightning-fast reactions and cut her before the chains faded. You know, in all honesty, I didn't expect you to react like that. Sensing Naruto's pain, seems you were right, he can't handle the wavelength. In fact, he's lost control. It seems as though you do care about him, and in that moment you showed it. You left yourself open for me, said Stein as he lit up a cigarette and let the rain of blood fall upon him. What irony. I won because of the Kishin. But because Kishin resurrected, I lost in the end. But, I still feel good, he said with a smile on his face, and Medusa turned her head. Naruto-kun, how much did you repress for you to be affected like this? As the Kishin began to move around in his bag, Naruto had jumped to attack everyone there. Outside he had become a berserker, while inside he was reliving every death of his wives over and over that he just wanted to get rid of everything. Is that the same blonde kid? Asked Free. Yes, but my brother has a lot of pain and it's reacting to Asura's awakening, answered Kid as he dodged the tail swipes of Naruto. As they were dodging, Iruka just watched as the bag stretched out into the form of a man who looked very thin, and it walked over to her. Asura looked at Iruka and began screaming, and she did the same. However, at the sound of her scream, Naruto ran toward Asura and tackled him to the side. Street, way, Aru, A-chan, it managed to say as it was batted away from her, only to be followed by Black Star and Kid. Asura began starching his skin out to form makeshift clothes. He then looked over at Naruto. I remember you, Shinigami-sama's boy in a jar. Hard to believe you're older than me, he said as Naruto lunged at him again, taking swipes that Asura healed from. Look, I'd love to stay, but I need some clothes and your look is scary, he said as he grabbed Naruto's head and channeled his wavelength through, causing him to scream in agony over the pain. Naruto fell to the floor and the transformation subsided as a result, but his skin had been burned off due to the transformation and he was bleeding from the mouth as a result of the attack by Asura. Asura then jumped and began tunneling through the ground, heading up as Maka grabbed onto one of his scarves and held on. Free grabbed Iruka, who sent a look at Naruto, feeling as if she knew him before transforming, and held on to Free as he jumped up through the hole and made his way up to escape as well. Tsubaki, Liz and Patty took human form and rushed to their partners, except Patty, who went over to Naruto. I'm sorry, I couldn't save you, I could save anyone, I failed you all, he repeated as Patty hugged his body, trying to give him some comfort. Patty, is he okay? Asked Liz from her position. Nay-san, he's hurt bad, I think he's seeing the memories again. All of them, she said, tears shedding as she didn't know how to help him. Both sisters knew that Naruto experienced flashbacks to his traumatic past and the deaths of his first wives. Usually he managed to pull himself from the memory with Kyuubi's help. Kyuubi, can you do anything? Asked Patty as said Fox managed to come out of Naruto. Just hold him, Patty, that Asura pushed all the pain into him and he's struggling. Just hold him and I might be able to pull him out in time, he said, placing his hands on her shoulders to show support. Up above, Asura was being held by the old seals of Shinigami as Free and Iruka climbed out the hole in the earth. We easily got back up thanks to Kishin opening such a huge hole in the ground, commented Free. Maka and Soul had fallen from to the ground, with Soul cushioning the blow from the fall when Maka had lost her grip on Asura. It looks like something caught him, said Iruka, seeing Asura being held by strange wrapping that had a skull on them, one for each limb. That ancient seal won't stop the just resurrected Kishin, said Free as Asura tore the seals like paper. Iruka looked over her shoulder and saw something that shocked her. Let's not talk about that for now, Free. Look over there, she said as Free turned in the direction she was looking. What's wrong, Iruka? He asked. Free, you said your magic can last an hour, but it's only been 40 minutes, said Iruka looking at the figure above them. Well, I bluffed a little, I'm a man and I want face, he said without regret. Asura's face mask opened up to show that his hair had grown back. Shinigami, he greeted, looking at the man floating with jets. It's been a while. You seem light, are you alright? You've always worn heavy layers, now that you're wearing so few. Are you feeling anxious? Asked Shinigami in his usual light tone. You too, why did you change to such a ridiculous mask? Replied Asura in a calm tone. About that, since I put you in that bag, I opened a school for weapons and technicians. The old mask would have scared the kids and the smaller kids would cry. That seal is also old, so it seems a little too scary too, explained Shinigami. Even your speech is playful. Also, it seems that the boy you took all that time ago is up again. I saw him when I got up, he looked quite scary, screaming like that. Had to put him down sadly. Shame, really, I could tell he was in so much pain. Well. Funny, really, when I used my wavelength I had to cause him more pain than he already seemed to be in, he said nonchalantly. I see, so Naruto-kun was in pain, I knew I felt it. Although you just woke up, I'm sorry, but you'll have to die again, he said, maintaining his tone. Shinigami chop. He shouted as he slammed his hand down on Asura. I'm going to make sure you pay for that, Shinigami muttered, seeing as he promised Naruto a better life, yet he had let him be tortured by Asura. Shinigami, do you know how painful it is to have all your skin stripped off you? I've already forgotten, help me remember it, he shouted, laughing, and sent his skin scarves forward to attack Shinigami. Shinigami easily countered and sent a pulse of energy back against the scarves that channeled the energy back to him. Shockwave, he muttered as he was hit by the pulse of energy and bled some blood. He quickly healed as Shinigami thought, though I awed his words, without Death's Scythe I can't deal with him. Asura launched himself toward Shinigami. Out of my way, he shouted as he regurgitated his weapon from his mouth. Vajra, he exclaimed as he slammed into a barrier Shinigami created. You cannot stop me, said Asura, somehow despite having his mouth full, the barrier in front of Shinigami cracked and was broken by the attack. The attack tore off the side of Shinigami's face as he collected himself midair. Such a vile beast, I'll enjoy ripping you skin off again, he said in a darker tone as he sent out dark energy arms after Asura. Asura just laughed and moved a little in the air before just floating in position. The arms bounced off an invisible wall. This bastard has on openings. You knew the area I can move is limited, said Shinigami as Asura's mask opened to reveal him grinning. I don't think we'll meet again. Farewell sensei, he said as he flew off into the sky. Shinigami sighed and landed in front of the school where Sid was waiting. Shinigami-sama, he said, getting his attention. Sid, the priority is to protect the children who are underground. It's been a rough night for all of them. Naruto may be worse due to the stress in Asura's wavelength. Also contact all Death Scythes in the world and have them all meet in Death City, he ordered. Acknowledged Shinigami-sama, said Sid as he ran off to do his job. Shinigami sighed once more. I never would have thought the Kishin would resurrect on the anniversary of the school that was created to prevent it. I'll be busy from now on and I hope Naruto can recover from this, he muttered, his tone becoming playful once more. Outside the city, Iruka and Free stood far away from the city. I feel safe now that we left, but I wonder where Mizune is, said Iruka. Who knows, maybe she fled earlier than us. Be best if she did, muttered Free as Iruka nodded, believing her friend got away. I can't feel Medusa's magic power anymore, that's good. Although I regret not witnessing her death, but I respect her since she was an excellent witch. Those are rare, said Iruka as she and Free made their getaway. Back underground, Stein and Spirit stood next to the bisected body of Medusa. Shinigami-sama seems to have crossed sword with Kishin. But the insanity is disappearing. It probably escaped and Naruto wavelength has calmed. I wanted to see it, said Stein. If I stayed at Shinigami-sama's side I might have been able to stop Kishin. This is bad, everyone will probably blame me, muttered Spirit. You can't do anything now, but the incident is not over. If we can't think of a plan then the world is doomed, replied Stein to his partner's comment. He was then shocked to find Medusa at his shoulder taking a bite out of him. Stein, shouted Spirit in shock as Stein pulled her off and she lay before him. I love you Naruto, she muttered as the scythe went through her head. Don't toy with him because I can tell you barely know what love is. I sure don't, said Stein, rubbing his shoulder, and her body disappeared until nothing was left. Such a fearsome woman, even her soul is disappearing, said Spirit, noticing the lack of Witch's soul. The next day at a sewer outlet a small snake slithered out into the river holding a ruby necklace in its mouth. I'll be back soon, Naruto, thought the snake as it swam through the river. A week later, Naruto had spent the last week recovering from Asura's awakening. He struggled to stop the memories waking him in the nights. Blair, Liz or Patty had to be there or Naruto woke up scared and frightened. Shinigami was saddened at his condition and hoped one of the Death Scythes coming would be able to help. He had talked to Naruto about knowing Medusa's true self and not confronting him. Naruto accepted that he had made a mistake but commented that he hoped things would have been different this time. Shinigami said he's be put on probation along with Krona for the month in which he couldn't take any souls, which he accepted. Naruto had told him about his captive. Mizune he had learned was her name and he had asked his father if he could talk to her and hopefully set her on their side of the field, to which he agreed, reluctantly. His talking sessions with Mizune had produced little so far, but he was determined to help her see his side and become friends with her or them as he discovered that the witches could combine. Oddly enough, it did increase their power, except that only one of the sisters, the eldest, could actually take the 5-tiered form on her own to his surprise. Kid had also been informed that his house currently held 5 witches, but a talk with Naruto had calmed his nerves. Today he would be revealing that he was her friend Naruko, since all of the sisters had attended the witches' mass at On Point and become friends with him. He walked into the room where the sisters were being held, each looking like a different age from child to adult. All 5 of them sat in the room that prevented them from using powerful magic or escaping. Good morning Mizune family, how are you today? He greeted them, bowing in respect. The eldest sister nodded in return. She had come to understand Naruto held no harm to them, only the rest of the world. Morning Uzumaki-san, and to answer, well, all things considered, she replied as Naruto took his seat across the table. The room itself was simple except for the anti-magic countermeasures. It contained 2 sets of bunk beds and a single to hold all the family, their own private restroom and reading material for them to enjoy. Naruto made the room to be accommodating for any witch and made sure there was a table for which they could sit and talk at. Again, I'm sorry I have you kept here, but believe me, it was this or death, and I refuse to send anyone to their death unless they deserve it, and please have told you call me Naruto, he said politely. That may be, but I don't feel comfortable enough yet from our first 3 meetings, Uzumaki-san. Although I do thank you for letting us live, most technicians would jump at the chance to get a witch's soul, she replied. I'm not most technicians, or do forget Kyuubi Mizune-san. He certainly enjoyed your youngest sister's petting. He smirked behind his mask as said sister blushed at the memory of her glomping said fox when he made an appearance during the first meeting. However, there is something else about me that is not normal, Mizune-san, would you like to see? He asked, getting a nod from her. He stood up as his form and clothes shifted into his Naruto, shocking the sisters. You're Naruto-chan, but, she stuttered. I'm sorry, but I wanted to see the witch's mask so to get a better understanding of how you all lived and don't think I faked our friendship. I do not regret become your Naruto-chan's friend, Mizune-chan. I just wished I could have saved your sister that night, she said sadly as she lowered the mask to show the face that Mizune knew was Naruto's. But we were told that Shibuzan had killed Nei-san, said the teenage Mizune, not understanding his sentiment. Your sister wasn't killed by any technician here but by an acquaintance of ours, Medusa, he said as he explained what he had discovered about how their sister had fallen and how Iruka had been forced to help Medusa. Again, I'm sorry for your loss, but despite what has been done, I ask you don't seek revenge on Medusa. It won't end well, he said, knowing what revenge does to a person. Why? She deserves to suffer from taking our Nei-san. Why shouldn't we go after her? Shouted the second eldest Mizune, angry at what the blonde asked as he had gone back to male form now. Kyuubi rose from his back, because if you do, you're shaming her memory by killing in anger. Naruto and I have seen the dark side or revenge, and we can tell you it only ends in an endless cycle of hate. If you kill her, daughter will come after you, or even the werewolf, as she still has control, he said as the youngest looked at him as if asking permission, to which he nodded and she petted his tails again. Wait, you mean Medusa is still alive? I swore I felt her magic power disappear. Why do you speak like she still lives? Asked the eldest. Naruto looked away, not wanting to answer, so Kyuubi answered instead. Naruto gave her a necklace that connected him to her. The stone in the necklace actually sends a signal to him to tell him if they are in trouble. The fact that he feels a pulse from the gem and the fact that the necklace wasn't recovered from the scene leads him to believe this fact, on which he warned Shinigami about, he explained. The eldest sister could see the look in Naruto's eyes and saw the pain he felt for the woman betrayal. I'm sorry, Naruto-san, it must be hard for you to know she's alive despite what she did, she said sympathetically. Naruto took a breath. It's a bridge I have to cross at some point, but enough about that, please. Is there anything more you can tell me about the witch community and why they are looked down upon? He asked, hoping to make them all feel at ease. The eldest and youngest seemed better, but the middle sisters would take time before he could give them the deal. He remembered that after this he was to meet his father in his room to meet the other Death Scythes. He wondered what the plan would be for the Kishin. But for the moment merely listened to the eldest sister explain more things about witches he did not know. The Death Scythes unite. I do not own Naruto or Soul Eater. Bold for Kyuubi. Italics for thoughts. X chapter start X. A young man in priest's robe stood in front of the city listening to his music loudly. He crossed his chest. How many years has it been since I came to this land? The young man commented. O Lord my God, give unto people comfortable lives and deaths, he said in prayer. This man was Justin Law, Death Scythe and Europe chief. We now turn our attention to the death room with Shinigami and Sid. So Sid, have the 8 Death Scythes including Spirit gathered? He asked the zombie teacher. It appears that Justin has just arrived together with the 2 who arrived earlier. That makes 4 inches, he explained. And what about the other 4? The other Europe chief, for example, asked Shinigami. The other Europe chief and West Asia chief are away on mission and can't come, said Sid. And what of the South America chief? He asked. The only thing he says id. Gao Gao, so we can't really communicate and Africa is blocking our communications, he finished before he could ask. Do you know if Naruto is on his way then? Shinigami sighed. He said he'd be here after his session with the sisters. Do you think he'll get through to them, Shinigami-sama? He asked. Naruto has always been unpredictable, so honestly I think he can. The problem is he isn't getting enough sleep. Asura's wavelength is forcing his memories forward that he keeps reliving them at night, said Shinigami. Meanwhile, in the Shibuzan ladies' room, 2 women were washing their hands in the sinks. One was wearing an all-black top with a golden dress underneath and white high-heeled boots. Having golden blonde hair and eye color to match, and wore an eye patch with a thunderbolt insignia. The other had extremely neat short black hair and very formal clothing. These clothes feature a black jumper worn over a long collared shirt, as well as black pants. She also wore a pair of simple framed glasses. The blonde was Marie Mjolnir, Death Scythe in charge of Oceania. The other was Yumi Azusa, Death Scythe in charge of East Asia. I shouldn't be here. I can't be hanging around a place like this, commented Marie. What are you saying? The Kishin has been revived. What could be more important? Said Azusa to her friend. Azusa, you're still young so you wouldn't understand, said Marie. I want to get married and retire, but I'm still on active duty. Isn't that funny? She said. I think it's great, said Azusa. Every time, no matter how devoted I am to a man, I get tossed aside in the end. Why do they find me so unattractive? She said with a tear threatening to spill from her one eye. Men want to escape when they feel pressured by suffocating devotion too, said Azusa calculatively. There was a slight pause before Marie punched her friend in the face. You don't know anything about love, she shouted. A few seconds later Marie was apologizing to her friend. Marie equals senpai. As for you, you don't know how to pull your punches, she said as blood dripped from her nose. She got back to her feet. Anyway, the idea of marriage is a woman's happiness, as old-fashioned, she said as Marie started staring at a toilet. What is it? She asked. I'll marry the toilet, she said without a care, throwing her friend off guard. Think about it, a toilet will always take in anything I give it, right? It's my ideal partner, she said, smiling, explaining her reasoning for her porcelain proposal. Azusa knew she had to stop this though before it became worse, but as it's a ladies' toilet, wouldn't it irritate you if the seat was left up? She said. I can endure that much, replied Marie happily. This is bad, if I don't stop Marie, she thought as she continued. Boyfriends though from time to time, they can't take the pressure and say they're suffocating, she explained. You also never know whether it's leaking somewhere behind your back, she finished. How indecent, it's unforgivable, said Marie before shouting, you cheating bastard, and smashing the offending toilet. Well then let's go see Shinigami, she said, walking away from her destruction, and Azusa commenting, that's Mjolnir for you, still on active duty. Outside, Spirit was cleaning the candle holders in the hall as Stein and Naruto walked up to him. He noticed the two. Is there something you two need? He asked. Spirit, you know as well as I there's a meeting with Otou-san and the other Death Scythes, said Naruto. I'm not going, he replied, turning back to his bucket. Why not? Asked Stein. Why do you suppose Shinigami-sama summoned the other Death Scythes? He asked them. Since the Kishin revived, I guess he wants to work out some countermeasures for the future, said Stein, logically getting a nod from Naruto. No, you're wrong, he's definitely going to transfer me somewhere else. I bet you it's a demotion, he said. It has to be. If I hadn't left Shinigami-sama, he could have wielded me and stopped the Kishin, he continued. Maybe Spirit, but if you had stayed, Stein would be dead, and besides Otou-san knows your daughter lives in the city. I seriously doubt he'd move you from here, said Naruto. Besides, I don't think scoring brownie points by polishing candle stands would help if you were in trouble, he said, smirking. You're a real idiot if you are so desperate you've had to roll up your jacket sleeved, huh? Said Stein as Spirit went back to his bucket as Marie and Azusa came down the hall, spotting them. Azusa turned and whispered to Marie, it's Stein, he was your first love, right? She asked. That's ancient history, Azusa, but I'm curious about the blonde one there, she replied. All three turned and spotted them. Hey, it's been a long time, greeted Marie. Yeah, it has, and hello, King of Student Council Presidents, replied Stein, a comment that was not received well by Azusa based off her expression. She was a little loudmouth, right? Asked Spirit. She always had something to say when it looked like I was going to dissect a passerby, commented Stein. Naruto slapped the back of Spirit's head. Most people would say something, Stein, and I thought you knew better than to insult a young lady, said Naruto as Spirit grumbled, remembering how at the academy Azusa prevented him from chatting up several girls. Thank you, but I don't think we've met before. My name is Azusa Yumi, mister, said Azusa politely, seeing as Naruto had manners. Uzumaki Naruto, Azusa-san, I take it you and your friends there are the other Death Scythes summoned, he said, shaking the hand she offered. Indeed we are, Naruto-san, but you look to be a student here. How would you know about the meeting? She asked. He gave her an eye smile. As the adopted son of Shinigami, I have a few privileges, but also I'm kept in the loop of things since Otou-san knows I can help out, he said back. Both girls were shocked to hear that Shinigami had adopted someone, and helped him out too. Anyo, are you weapon of technician Naruto-san, and my name is Marie Mjolnir, asked the blonde to the other. He laughed a little, as did Spirit, thinking what would probably happen. A little of both, oddly. Let me introduce my partner, Kyubi, he said as said fox rose from his back and starched his limbs. Morning all. Oh, new faces. Hello, my name is Kyubi, he said. Both girls' jaws dropped seeing half a fox come out of the boy they just met. Azusa took a look at his soul and was shocked at its size for someone his age, although she noticed the soul seemed shaky for some reason. Now, as much as I'd like talking to you two ladies, I think we have a meeting to go to, he said as he began walking toward his father's room. Yes, Shinigami-sama is waiting. Please line up and follow us, said Azusa as Spirit, Stein and Marie lined up. She's back same as ever, mumbled Spirit as they walked behind Naruto and Azusa. As they walked, Azusa turned to Naruto. Your soul is impressive for someone your age, Naruto-san, but I couldn't help but notice something off about it, she said. I'm aware, Azusa-san, but you'll be told in the meeting, so please be patient. While we make our way, feel free to tell me about you and your friend. I'm sure we'll get on fine, he said, smiling through his mask. Marie behind them couldn't help but stare at his face and wondering what it looked like. She could also tell he was quite handsome and really wanted to get to know him, so spoke about herself to him as they walked. Break X. Justin was kneeling in front of Shinigami's mirror. Oh God, why do you not grace me with your words? Oh, woe is me, I cannot hear the voice of God, he said, still have his earphones on. No, it's because, Shinigami tried to say as Spirit kicked in the back. Take out your earphones, said Spirit, point to his ears. Justin got the hint and id so, it's been a long time, I Justin am at your disposal, he greeted. Thanks for coming all this way, said Shinigami as the 6 individuals stood in front of him, 4 weapons and 2 technicians. I'm sure you all know why I asked you to gather here, said Shinigami from inside the mirror as Spirit was thinking, don't transfer me, over and over. Kishin, Asura, has been revived and I thought it necessary to spend a moment discussing this. However, I don't think the insane but cowardly Asura will take action anytime soon. I think that he'll initially lurk and determine the stability of his mind and store up power. Anyway, Asura's movement are not our immediate concern, we should first work out countermeasures, explained Shinigami. The wavelength of insanity that Asura exudes, Stein, please a brief explanation, said Shinigami. Wavelength of insanity, can we think of it as Asura's soul wavelength? Interrupted Azusa. Yes, that's right, however it's a soul wavelength at the level of a god, said Stein. Does that wavelength of insanity attract something? Asked Marie. That's a good way to put it, as every human, no matter who it is, has at least a little insanity within them. Myself and Naruto in particular, said Stein. HWY Naruto-san? Asked Marie, who looked curiously at said blonde. I suffer from reliving painful and traumatic memories, and since the revival of the Kishin it has become worse and pushes me further. Despite creating a seal to ease the worry for Stein, I can barely get any sleep at the moment, he said, look down to the floor. Indeed, Asura's wavelength encourages that insanity sleeping in the souls of man. I am less affected as I normally would be due to this, said Stein, lifting his shirt to reveal tribal-like markings. The seal Naruto created allows the wavelength to filter through my soul and keep the level of insanity in check, he finished, lowering his shirt. The wavelengths of insanity, can this phenomenon happen to anyone? Azusa asked. No, among clergymen with powerful faith like Justin, I expect the infection rate to be relatively low, commented Stein, gesturing to said boy. Also, at this stage it's unthinkable that the general human populace will be embroiled in something like an outbreak of insanity, he further explained. Then what's the issue? Asked Justin. Naruto took over. The problem is that due to the wavelength, witches who have been slumbering will awaken and their magic power will increase. And it doesn't just affect people, there are various other problems that can arise due to the wavelength, like in my situation where I find it more difficult to hide my animal features, he said as both Marie, Justin and Azusa asked, animal features? He answered by revealing his tails and ears that caused Marie to squeal and begin petting his tails, muttering how soft they were, causing Naruto to blush as the feeling of her soft fingers. Azusa resisted doing the same but walked over and pulled at the ears to see if they were real before scratching behind them, much to Naruto's joy. Azusa then composed herself, adjusting her glasses. This situation is due to the errors of those 2 people. Shinigami-sama, do you have any thoughts as to corrective measures? Said Azusa, who was tapped on the shoulder by one of Naruto's tails. Sorry Azusa-san, but I am also to blame for what happened because I failed to inform Otou-san about the witch I had discovered, he said sadly as Marie continued petting him. Her expression turned stern, looking at Naruto now. Why wouldn't you inform Shinigami-sama about a witch being in Death City? She asked. Naruto couldn't look her in the eye, because I fell in love with that witch and hoped I could change her. His answer shocked them because rarely were witches known for taking partners. Do not ask about it. Naruto took the blow of her betrayal hard, so if you want the full story, see Shinigami after the meeting. Now I believe he was going to say something, said Kyuubi before any of the other could say anything and make it harder for Naruto. I was thinking of a little personnel change, said Shinigami-sama, getting aloud. What? From Spirit, who hung over the side muttering how he never see Maka again. No, Spirit, you'll continue to be my weapon, he said, trying to calm the man down who turned with tears in his eyes. Are you okay with a guy like me? He asked. Among the Death Scythes you are the only one who can truly be called Death Scythe, take that in pride, said Shinigami as Spirit and Justin kneeled in front of the mirror praising him. In return, we're ending your stint as Stein's temporary partner weapon. From now on I'd like you to do your utmost not to leave Shibuzen. In addition, I'd like to have 2 other Death Scythes remain at Shibuzen to reinforce its defense, he explained his plans. Marie-chan, due to your wavelength you are going to be working with Naruto-kun for the time being, while Stein-kun will be taking on a student as his partner. Just make sure not to dissect them, Stein-kun, said man nodded while Marie began whimpering. Wait a minute, I don't really want to work. Even the reason I became the Oceania chief is because it's peaceful area without much work. I really don't want a Shibuzen post. My marriage will be delayed even further, she said in anime tears. Naruto, feeling for her, wrapped her in a couple of his tails. I'm sorry for inconveniencing you, Marie-san, but I doubt you'll have much problems finding someone you very beautiful, he tried to comfort as the woman hugged the tails to make herself feel better. Shinigami-sama, what it that you'd have me to do? Azusa asked. As for you, Azusa-chan, use the breadth of your worldview and try and track down Asura. In the meantime, you'll be helping out here at Shibuzen, and I'll inform your posts and arrange temporary chiefs in your absences. And for Justin-kun, said Shinigami, trying to get the boy's attention, but sadly he'd put his earphones in again. This earned a kick from Spirit, Azusa and Naruto, making the earphones fall out. Well then, Justin-kun, you'll remain in reserve. From now on, Shibuzen's going to have to change too. Our guiding principle is, it's brutal but cheerful life. Well then, dismissed, finished Shinigami. Break X. Naruto was at the park with his new partner Marie, watching his friends played basketball and making it a punishment game for the captains Maka and Kid. He laughed since Maka would probably be spending a day with her father. He was improving but still embarrassing. As they stood by the bench, Marie sighed. There's no chance of me finding someone to marry when there's only kids around, she said, pouting as Kid managed to score a three-pointer. Nice shot, Kid, he shouted out to his brother. Marie smiled at Naruto. Are you and them Shibuzen students, Naruto-san? She asked, smiling. Yeah, and you'll probably be teaching us soon if I'm right, Marie-san, and besides, you're too pretty to look sad. A smile suit you better, he said, electing a small blush from the woman and a bigger smile. She stretched out her arms. Well, I don't have a lover to begin with, but before I'm married I might as well do some work, she said. Oh, I just remembered that with the change I need to find a place to live, she said to herself. I think Otou-san probably wants us living in the same house if you're partnering with me for the time being, so you'll be living with me, Kid, Liz-chan, Patty-chan and Blair-chan at the mansion. My advice is just don't mess with anything in the house or Kid gets a little sensitive with his obsession over symmetry, he said, chuckling as she laughed too. Spirit walked onto the scene, thinking back to the side mission he was put on. Shinigami had told him to look out for Naruto since he was still tender from the Kishin's awakening, and if what Naruto told him was true about Medusa, if he saw her, could set him off. Marie was put with Naruto due to her positive wavelength and might be tough enough for Naruto to actually wield her. Naruto had tried wielding Spirit once and it had knocked the scythe due to the conflicting wavelengths of him, Spirit, and Kyuubi. But with Marie's renowned strength and capabilities, it could be possible. Hey Spirit, Naruto greeted, sensing the death scythe, who nodded, then spotted his daughter. What are they doing? I told them not to leave the house, he said in a huff. Like you did what your parents told you when you were younger. They're fine and at ease, he waving off his worry. They can't be at ease, not with that abnormal atmosphere around. We need to get things back to normal while they're still kids, said Spirit. 5 minutes later on the court, and that's game. Maka's team lose 20-4, said Black Star before singing punishment with Patty and Soul. That may have been an unfair match in a way, I think, said Naruto, noticing that Maka didn't figure out the rules of basketball. She came over. Papa, she said, fighting with her hands. Yes, Maka, what it is? He asked. She went red with embarrassment as she asked. This Sunday, why don't we go on a date together? As she said it, Spirit felt a number of father-daughter moments enter into his mind. Just an hour ago I thought I was going to be transferred, to think that something so extraordinary would happen instead, he thought as Naruto's sweat dropped, noticing his expression. I think you broke him, Maka, he joked, only to say the man puke up his breakfast behind a tree. Okay, wasn't expecting that to happen, he said as Maka tended to her father, barfing from happiness. Another thing I've witnessed that I really didn't want to see, he joked, making Marie giggle. Break X. A few days later, Naruto with Blair was walking to Krona's room to see her and tell her she was put on trial as a student. He hoped that she's talk with him. As he turned the corner, he spotted Maka. Hey Maka, good timing, heading to see Krona I take it, he said, smiling through the mask. She smiled and nodded. Yeah, I wanted to see if I could see her. Why are you heading to her room? She asked. Yeah, due to circumstance I've been put on probation and I'll be looking after her during her time here, and I'm on my way to tell her about being put on a trial for being a student, he explained. Sid tells me that she's just been moping and nothing seems to help. He hopes I can get her out of her shell, and with you here it should be easier, he said as someone turned the corner and spotted them. It was Marie, looking upset. I came down this fall before, she said, making her look adorable. Naruto, isn't that your new friend that's living with us? Blair thinks she's lost. Nay, said Blair from his head as he waved to the woman. Naruto-san, I'm hungry because I got lost. Thought I'd die of hunger, she said with puffed up cheeks. Hard to believe you're alumni of this place, Marie-san. Here, eat this, he said, offering her some chocolate, which she took. It's not my fault the hall and stairs are unnecessarily complicated. It's like a maze, she said, munching on her snack, trying to defend herself. You may as well join us, Marie-san. I don't thinking pointing you in the direction would work here. You remember Maka, right? He asked. Yes, she was Spirit's daughter. How was your date with your father? She asked. Well, we went around the used bookstores and he bought me a few books I'd wanted. We ate afterwards, she said. It wasn't too bad. I can tell he's trying not to embarrass me and trying to leer at all the women. Naruto smiled hearing that. How nice, commented Marie. As they were walking, Naruto stumbled and fell to his knee, holding his head. No, please not again, he thought as he saw the blood trickling from her mouth, the blade sticking into her chest and the light fade from her eyes, him unable to do anything as the blood pooled at his feet. Naruto-san, are you alright? Asked Marie, slightly panicked as she saw her partner collapse slightly. I'm fine, just a little tired, he said, taking deep breaths as the memory passed. Blair switched to human form and helped him to his feet before hugging his side, a concerned look on her face. Naruto-kun, she said as he patted her on the head, I'll be fine, Blair-chan, just need a long rest tonight, he said, kissing her forehead and whispering, I need you, into her ear. Marie looked slightly jealous as she watched the interaction between Naruto and the cat girl Blair she had met when she moved in. She hadn't yet discovered that Naruto was a polygamist. Blair continued to hold Naruto until they got to the door of Krona's room. She then returned back to cat form and Naruto knocked before heading in. Excuse me, Krona, he said, looking round the room and not seeing her. Odd, I could have sworn this was her room, he said as he looked into the corner and spotted the girl. Maka popped her head round and Krona spotted her. The girl noticed the two. Maka, Naruto, she said happily, what are you doing in a place like that? Asked Maka. Being in Mr. Corner calms me down, she said, which made Naruto chuckle as he helped her to her feet. It's good to see you remember me, Krona, he said, lowering his mask since she already knew his face and it would be better for her to see it. She smiled seeing his face again. It looked very welcoming as Marie walked in. Naruto introduced her. Krona, this is Marie-sensei, she'll be teaching us in class. Otu-san said you've been put on a trial period and we'll be working together, he said, making the girl nod. I'm starting tomorrow too, as a first-time teacher, so I'll be instructing you all. From now on I'll have to study many things like you, Krona. Let's try hard together, she said, smiling before she felt something on her shoulder. And this is Blair, a friend of Naruto-san's and one of my housemates. She a magical cat, you see, she explained, petting her fur. Come on, let's get out of here, said Marie. I'm not in the mood, you bunch of she-pigs, came Ragnarok's voice as he came out of her back, in chibi form. Kyuubi decided to come out now as he laughed at Ragnarok. Well, look at that, someone looks like they've shrunk, what's the matter? He said as the little mass tried to hit the fox but could reach. I had all my souls confiscated by Shinigami, and I have no intention of letting any of you become friends, especially you, fox. Now come closer so I can hit you, she said, still waving his arms as if the wind would hit him. It's your fault, bitch. Die, Krona. Die, die, he said, pulling on her face. And the torment continues, commented Maka as she walked over and patted him on the head. If it's like this, even if I get close, I guess I won't get hurt, she said. This annoyed Ragnarok, so he pulled up Maka's skirt to reveal her panties. These panties are more boring than I expected, you ugly girl, he taunted. Kyuubi grabbed Maka's arm before she could try to hit Ragnarok with a book, which had placed Krona in the way like a human shield. Kyuubi smacked the little weapon on the head hard and both began a staring competition which ended in a thumb war between the two that Kyuubi won. The other were entertained by the competition of the two and wished next time they had snacks. They showed Krona around the school and eventually it led back to the classroom where Krona managed to write a very depression poem and all who read it ended up squatting in Mr. Corner in depression, Naruto and Blair unaffected by it as you'd expect. After that, Sid came in to give Krona and Naruto their first extracurricular lesson with Maka observing her mission. They were sent to the Czech Republic where it had been reported by Azusa that the oldest golem in the villages of the golem craftsmen had started acting violently. Which was bizarre as golems could only perform defense, a moving shield so to speak. Break X. Maka, Soul and Krona arrived via his bike, 3 riders, no helmets. If we weren't Shibuzen students we'd have been caught, commented Soul as there was a flash of light and Naruto appeared. Best way to travel, he said, smiling to the 3. The group walked through Low Village. It's full of chimneys, huh, commented Maka. It because this village is full of golem builders and most likely there a kiln in every house, explained Naruto. Let's start eating souls from that side, commented Ragnarok, earning him a slap from Naruto. They tried getting info from the villagers but were all tight-lipped about the incident, which meant it was hiding something. Hey you guys, look like you've been asking around about the incident, came a voice. They turned to see a young-looking golem craftsman based off the gloves he wore. You're looking for the village's oldest golem, aren't you? Come with me and I'll tell you all about it, he said, gesturing them to follow, but Naruto seemed reluctant. The person's voice reminded him of Kabuto he seemed to niece. In the anime the engineer Su is voiced by the same person who did Kabuto, Fun World. As they were led into the forest, Soul stared to get antsy. How far do we have to go before we get to where the golem is? He asked. Just a little further, said Su. That's all you've been saying this whole time, said Soul. If you ask the same question you'll get the same answer, was his retort. You're the bad one. Both this village and you in particular, said Soul out of nowhere. Soul, easy with stating your opinions, said Naruto as his body looked tense. This village you see, rose up by selling golems to other towns and countries. The entrance is a ward against evil spirits. The reason everyone says they don't know anything is because they're scared, explained Su. Are you trying to say we're demons? Asked Soul, making Naruto flinch at the name. He didn't say that. Why are you suddenly jumping to that conclusion? Asked Maka. That's what this guy is saying. Shut up, he shot back. So that everyone will keep away from the village, we're quietly living peaceful lives, peacefully without issues. Without struggles, we were as motionless as golems, and the people are the same, aren't they? Limited to those good people without sharp edges, he went on with his rant. The truth is the contents of the heart are pitch black, that's the truth, he finished as large stomping noises could be heard. Really now, you're quite an impatient woman, he said to the late golem that stood in front him now. Maka and Naruto stared at the golem as his feature came out. Su, what is the meaning of this? He shouted. So it surprised you and the girl. Looks like you both noticed, but your way of noticing is much different, he commented on his features. I guess it's only natural when it's leaked out to this extent, you understand my words, right? He asked. What's going on with that golem? There's no way it should be alive, but I can feel its soul wavelength, said Maka, and a witch is nonetheless it seems, commented Naruto. Su began cracking his knuckles. I've been waiting for this moment for 800 years, using the enchanter techniques I encoded my memories into a genetic program and I entrusted it to my child. Almost 30 shitty boring human lifetimes have spun by, and along the way, there were many times I thought I'd go insane, ha ha ha. You're older than you let on, said Naruto, forming his gauntlets and greaves, for the purpose of opposing that Shibuzen with its spiritual power and overwhelming organizational ability, for the purpose of storing up power. But that's over now, it's time to say goodbye to this, good child, self. I'm not sorry to see him go, that faggot, he ranted once again. Do you remember the first thing I said to you? You're looking for the village's oldest golem, aren't you? Come with me and I'll tell you all about it. How gullible are you? I can't believe it, there's nobody that helpful, after a normal beginning to out meeting this as a kick in the guts, ain't it? He said as his body deformed, and Naruto thought, freaking second time this has happened. And now I'll get behind you and take out your knees, right? He said as he transformed in a chainsaw. I don't need a technician, my user is a golem I built myself, said Guriko. That is certainly a unique weapon form, Su, commented Naruto, taking a stance against the chainsaw-wielding golem. Yeah, but just so you know, the name is Guriko. Now let's start this fight. Raw, bloodlust, cutting, he shouted, Guriko in his saw form slamming down next to Maka, who dodged by an inch. If we go any further than this, I'll take your soul, said Maka firmly. The engine isn't even on yet. Do it, golem, he replied cockily to her as the golem revved up his engine cord. The saw roared and sliced into the ground, sending Maka back a bit. Raw bloodlust cutting horsepower, he shouted as Naruto returned with soul resonance. His gauntlets and greaves extended up his arms and legs. He also got armor on his back alongside an armored mask now. The armor now had thrusters to amplify punches and kicks. Think Gilgamesh from DMC4. Do not own. Play Viral's theme. Do not own. That's some intent you have there. You must really want to fight Guriko, said Naruto. The engine is on and my soul has 800 years worth of murderous wavelength to work out, so I'll start with you three, he said. Sorry, I got people waiting for me at home, so your murder spree, said Naruto as one gauntlet started its thrusters, propelling him forward as the golem ran forward, swinging Guriko. My life up to this point has been nothing, just shit, no meaning at all. Now lay dead in the grave I make for you, boy, he shouted as the blade met the fist, both pushing for supremacy. The two broke apart, skidding on the ground. Aw man, I don't feel refreshed at all, what the hell, damn it. It's not supposed to be like this whole time I've been faking it, I didn't know my true self, said Guriko. Oh yeah, that's it, that's the thing. The thing I've cultivated all this time. For some reason suddenly I want to destroy everything, he shouted like a madman now as the golem swung the saw into Naruto's fists and kicks as they propelled themselves with the thrusters. They separates again and he got back next to Maka and Krona. Maka, Krona, we need to stop this thing, but getting close is dangerous with that golem's strength, he told his teammates. If there was a long distance attack in that instant I could jump in, said Maka, making Krona think about her screech alpha. Sorry, we can't help, we're just observers. Even if you give me 3 pieces of candy, actually meaning souls, he said as Maka retorted, then 4, Ragnarok scoffed. Idiot, you've misunderstood me, there's no way I'd really want candy, dummy, he said as the golem got closer with Naruto charging his legs. How about 6 pieces, Maka offered. It's not a matter of number, he replied. Maka noticed how close the golem was, then 16 pieces, she shouted as Ragnarok shouted into action as he blocked the saw with his body alongside Naruto's propelled kick. Maka Alban, you understood after all. I would have been happy with 3, Gupipi was negotiating, he said, I can't rip them apart with first gear, commented Guriko. Don't underestimate us, shouted Ragnarok and Naruto as they pushed the saw away and Ragnarok turned into his blade form. You're not bad, you know that, Ragnarok, said Naruto to the now albeit shrunken Ragnarok. It looks like you got a little smaller, commented Krona. It's not a problem, moron. I'll kill you, the blade shouted from its mouth. Fight each other later, said Naruto as Krona took stance. Let's go Ragnarok, demon sword, she said. Screech Alpha, Krona shouted as she unleashed the screaming wave at the golem, knocking it off balance. With that huge body he shouldn't be able to make tight turns. If I can get in toward the torso I should be able to beat him, thought Maka as her and Naruto charged at the golem. Both took swings in the golem but made little damages, only slight cuts on either side. Damn, it nearly broke my hand on that thing, muttered Naruto. I haven't missed any maintenance. It may be an old type golem but you won't kill it with something like that, said Guriko, preparing the saw to be swung toward Maka. Naruto ran to intercept only to feel something strike him from the wound he'd made, as did Maka. Both froze in their position. Oi Maka, what's happening? Asked Soul. Can't move, thought Naruto. I'll rip your guts out, said Guriko, aiming to hit Naruto and Maka now. Krona blocked the blow for Maka but Naruto thankfully only managed to get a mediocre cut across his chest thanks to his arms being in a position of block. Seeing his partner down, Soul shifted to human form and moved to Maka. Maka, what's going on all of a sudden? He asked worriedly. My body, I can't move and I don't think Naruto can either. Soul moved to turn her only to find a sticky substance on Maka. Naruto had noticed the substance and had burned it away with his fox fire and was able to get to his feet as Soul muttered, Thread. Something's coming, said Naruto as he managed to get back to Maka's side, except with his movements lagging. He took note of the scurrying noise around them. Spiders, he said when he saw the arachnids dropping from the trees. The spiders that were scattered across the world have assembled. I've been waiting, Arachne, said Guriko. A large mass of spiders began collecting by the golem. It looks like a black carpet, commented Maka, seeing all the creatures. The spiders began climbing into the golem. What's happening? The spiders are climbing into the golem, said Soul. They're being drawn to the soul inside the golem, she explained as Naruto and Krona took stance in front of the two. Stay back, you two. Me and Krona will protect you, he said to the two behind them, and getting a nod from Krona. Naruto, are you sure you can still fight? She asked, noticing his shaky hands trying to fight the numbness. No, I may have got rid of the web but I'm going to collapse in about 2 minutes, he said honestly, switching weapon to his big hammer, small hammer, and enlarging the hammer part. The spiders began taking form on top of the golem. The Kishin is revived. Insanity is running wild across the world. It's become a grand age while you've been sleeping, right? Said Guriko as a woman's figure formed from the spiders. Arachnophobia had begun to move, said Arachne as she stepped down from the golem. Naruto, Maka and Krona could all tell. Medusa, they all thought, looking at the woman. Arachne, let me explain the situation, said Guriko, only to have her raise her hand to the saw, stopping him. No need, huh, he commented. Maka, Soul, I know you had a fight last night over who burnt the curry, right? Soul forgot to turn the stove off, she said. How could you have known that? She began to ask, only for the woman to interrupt. I've seen your limits. I've seen everything in this world for 800 years by scattering my spiders. Krona and Naruto, she said, getting their attention. My little sister's kid in love. Looks like you didn't get much love, child, but Naruto, you still appear to be in pain of her betrayal. Well, I can offer you both happiness, she said very calmly. Both moved to strike her but she blocked them with her iron fan, smacking Krona in the face and slamming it down on Naruto so he fell at her feet. I'm honestly shocked. I've become an ant during the last 800 years and nearly gained a brother-in-law, how odd. Guriko erased the child. We're taking the boy, she ordered. Almost instantly Guriko had kicked Krona away, saying, sure thing, as he did so. As she got back to her feet she found herself sliced at the torso where her blood hardened to stop the massive bleeding. I guess even Medusa's research isn't really a big deal, but she has good taste in men, it seems, she commented, looking over Naruto. Impossible, the black blood was cut with a kick, said a shocked Soul as Guriko smirked. Saw foot, second gear is plenty, I see, he commented at the chain around his leg. Be thankful the black blood will heal this level of injury, said Ragnarok as Krona muttered thanks to her weapon. What a handy fellow, said Guriko as he crouched and sped forward using chains on both feet as a mode of transport. I guess I'll have to split you in two and eat your soul then, he said as Krona readied her blade. Gross, don't come near me in that poop squat, she said as she thrust with her blade, only for him to flip onto the blade and roll down it, catching her in the neck. Head, say farewell to the torso, it's beheading, he shouted as he brought his legs together to slice Krona's head off. He was stopped as someone slashed him. Holy cruciform sword hand, came the attack, sending Guriko away as Justin now stood in front of Krona. Who the hell are you? Shouted Guriko to Justin, who was listening to his music. Naruto had regained consciousness and used his hammer's power by tapping the pole to the ground. Earth seal, he muttered as he tunneled underground, surprising Arachne only slightly, thinking she's knocked him out. He popped out next to Maka and Soul only to fall on his face. Damn, can't move now, he muttered. Soul then took note of the man in front of them. His arm was impaled by a guillotine. He questioned, earning a grunt from Naruto. Soul, that's Justin-Law, a death scythe. I met him a while ago. Apparently he became a death scythe at age 13. He also did so without the use of a technician, and if he'd been sent here, Otou-san figured we'd need the help. He explained as Soul grew annoyed that the person in front of him was a weapon yet didn't need a tech to fight. That was dangerous, that one shot. If it's been even a little late wrapping this chain around me, I would have been killed. Well done. Now who the hell are you? Asked Guriko, only to be met with silence due to Justin having his earphones in. Shibuzen student, there are only two enemies, so I can end this quickly. Just wait there for a bit, he shouted very loudly. Had a loud voice, said Soul, probably because of his earphones, replied Maka. Guriko jumped and put his chain around his body. It's irritating looking at a shady guy like you, trash like you. Put a leash by Shinigami, he shouted, spinning down on Justin. Reverse rotation, he shouted as he flipped back, only for Justin to counter by catching his arm in his Karkin claw, before giving him the headbutt of love. Guriko managed to spin him off. The engine is on. What'll happen if you carelessly leave those earphones on? Looks like you don't listen to me, whatever I say, ass kisser, he taunted, wiping the blood from his nose. Justin shook his finger at him. I can read your lips, such dirty words, you're a bad boy, he said, smiling. This frustrated Guriko. So you can read my lip, you've been pretending you couldn't hear me all this time. You make me sick, he said as Arcane called Guriko softly fan in front of her face. The hell do you want, he shouted, angrily, to which she replied, I don't like those who shout, in a tone that promised punishment. What's that, Nei-san? He asked in a quiet tone. The golem will run out of energy soon, let's withdraw, she said, getting a what from Guriko. They are waiting to welcome us, there will be many more battlefields in the future, she said. I guess there's no helping it, I'll leave the rest to you, golem. Well, it doesn't matter what happens to that shitty father. He turned to face Justin. I'll kill you eventually, he said before picking up Arachne and speeding away on his chains. Wait, don't run away, said Justin as he put his blade arm parallel to his escaping foes as the golem focused on the down forms of Naruto and Maka, only to be blocked by Krona. I can't hesitate. Shinigami-sama's orders were to protect the Shibuzen students and the trail period student alongside his son, said Justin. Everyone dropped to the ground. This one's going to be flashy, he shouted before praying. The people of the city of death, beseech you, our God, as Christ is just. He continued to prayer as his wavelength strengthened and he jumped up above the golem. Law-abiding silver gun, he exclaimed as his guillotine sliced through the golem's neck with the help of his string. He dropped down to the floor as the golem fell. Come now, let us pray, he said as each took a moment to think about what just happened. I need to study my magic more, looking at what happened. It will be essential in later days, I think, thought Naruto. Now then, let's go back to Shibuzen. Above all, it's good that you're all unharmed, he said. Soul picked up Maka and took her in his arms. Justin moved to help Naruto up. Thanks, Justin, but I can travel quicker than you, so I'll see you at home, said Naruto as he was gone in a flash. Naruto landed in the living room of the house as he fell to the floor, forgetting the fact he couldn't walk at the moment. Maybe the nurse's office would have been better, he mused as Marie walked into the room and spotted him. Naruto-san, what happened? She asked, concerned. Sorry, Marie-san, the mission I went on got bad very quickly and I ended up being caught in a spell of Arachne and I currently can't move, he said, chuckling slightly as she helped him up, holding him bridal style. Well, I can see you certainly have a lot of strength, Marie-san, despite you looking too soft and innocent, he complimented her and got a small blush on her face before it saddened. I still can't find a guy though, I hate being tossed aside, she muttered as she carried him through the halls. Don't put yourself down, Marie-san, you've just not found the right guy who can appreciate you. You have strength but also a kind and caring nature like a mother would, he said, making her smile. She set him in his bed and was about to walk away. Wait, Marie-san, do you mind staying for a while? I prefer the company, he asked, trying to hide the pleading tone for not being alone with his thoughts. She nodded and took the seat next to his bed where there was a collection of books. How was teaching, Marie-san? Hope the class was okay, he said, getting another smile. The students are nice and hard workers with a couple exceptions, but it's a class full of personality. Although I still need a student to guide me thought the halls, it's a little embarrassing, she said, sticking her tongue out cutely. Don't worry, I'll be more than happy to guide you through the halls so long as the girls don't claim me, he said, chuckling as Marie got a confused look. Oh, sorry, I forgot you don't know. You see, where I came from, the last of a family usually had to take multiple wives as a result of practice that Otou-san allowed me to do here. As a result, I'm currently seeing Blair-chan, Patty-chan and Liz-chan, he explained, getting a wide-eye expression from the woman. It's weird, I know, but I love all the girls and they do the same, and besides I always wanted a big family, he said before wrinkling his nose. Marie-san, can you scratch my nose under the mask? It's irritating me, he said as the woman nodded happily, getting a chance to sew the boy's face. In all honesty, she was surprised but also relieved at his confirmation that he was a polygamist. It meant she may have found a solution to her problem if she was lucky. She rolled on the mask to see the whisker marks that she was tempted to touch but resisted, for now at least. She scratched the irritating spot as Naruto sighed in relief and relaxed a little. Marie-san, how do you sing if I might ask? He asked. Pretty okay based off what Azusa says, why? She replied with a finger on her chin in thought. Would you sing a lullaby please? I need to rest but I've been unable to do so for a while and a song usually soothes me. You don't have to do it, he said blushing in embarrassment. She sat on the bed and stroked his hair as she began a song she knew, Lala's Lullaby, De Grayman Do Not Own, and as she sang for him his eyes drifted closed, his muscles losing their tension. She continued to sing and stroke his hair, feeling how soft it was in her fingers. After a while his body thrashed a little, but Marie applied a little of her wavelength and used some of her electrical power to relax him further. Sleep now Naruto-san, you deserve your rest. I've only been here a few days but you have made me feel welcome here and looked after me as well. I just wish you would let me help more. I see the signs of pain when you walk, try as you might you can't hide it. You say you want a big family, I just wonder if you'd let me in. I want to help with your pain Naruto-kun, she thought as she continued her actions until she felt sleep take her too. Arachnophobia moves. I do not own Naruto or Soul Eater. Bold for Kyuubi. Italics for thoughts. X chapter start X. Arachne sat in her web inside Baba Yaga's castle, 2,000 meters underground, a castle shaped like a spider with its 8 legs. Report, how is the development of the demon toll, the morality manipulation machine coming along? She asked to one of the many followers she had that wore black cloaks and a white mask. Yes ma'am, right now development is progressing steadily at the island facility to the east. Mosquito-sama, the one in change, contacted us a short while ago. It's nearing completion, said the minion. Will it be safe with just that geezer? He's shrunken a lot in the past 800 years, said Guriko swigging a bottle of whisker. I'm itching for some violence, I'll go too, he continued. Arachne shook her head. There's no need for that, though my network I've deployed a very strong bodyguard, she said down to Guriko as he tossed his empty bottle to the side. Bodyguard, what's that about? He asked. An infinite one-sword style user with an unusually strong soul, Yojimbo Mifune. This one man's soul gas 99 souls, worth of power and has lived long enough to be a legend. Enough to be called a sword god, Kenshin, she explained. It's good we got the cooperation of a god like that, commented Guriko as his bottle was cleared away. It's easy to manipulate humans with weaknesses, she said. X break X. In the nurse's office at Shibuzen, Maka was being fed by Soul with everyone watching including Naruto, who had recovered from the spell due to his own magic and quick healing. Okay say ah, said Soul offering Maka a spoon. Hey, this is really embarrassing, she said, not really liking having to be fed. Hey, there's nothing we can do since you can't move, said Soul. It could be worse Maka, trust me, I've been in hospitals more times than I ever wanted. Be thankful they didn't strap you down, he said. They only strapped you down because you kept running, commented Kyuubi, getting a few chuckles around the room. Whenever you need something let us know, said Tsubaki smiling at her friend. Don't be difficult now, make sure you eat. The professor said that the magic should wear off after several days, so it won't be much longer, said the new interim doctor Miranigas, Sid's partner. Maka tried moving but could only move her hand. It seems like I can move my hand a little. Now that I can't move I suddenly feel like there are lots of places I want to go, she said. I think once you can move again we'll have a party at our house, said Liz. Yeah, sounds fun, Maka replied. I'll get the executive secretary to set up a perfect party, said Kid as the sisters, Naruto and Kyuubi, put their arms in a cross motion. Kid, I'll be the first to say that you're too picky about things, like you always put a cup on a coaster because it might stain, said Liz. I don't want to do to the trouble of eating over the sink when I eat a cookie, said Patty. Face it Kid, you are better off letting us plan it and not hand vacuuming guests when they enter the house, said Naruto as Kyuubi shuddered at the memory. By the way, what have you been rummaging around over there for the whole time? Asked Maka as she had noticed Kid moving things around the shelves. I'm making things perfectly symmetrical in Maka's point of view. You like it right, even more so since you can't move, he said smiling as everyone's sweat dropped. Kid turned to Nigus. Nigus-sensei, do you have one more of these medicine bottles? If you have one it'll really improve the balance, he asked the bandage-bound doctor. There should be some in the medicine supply storage room, shall I bring you one? She asked as Kid suddenly disappeared into the room, slamming the door behind him. No, I can't trouble you with the extra labor, I'll go myself, he said as Nigus tried to warn. No, it's because it's in awful disorder, she said. Kid could be heard shouting, Liz, Patty, come here a second. Patty turned to her sister. What should we do, Oni-chan? She asked as she heard sounds of puffing. Naruto had summoned 2 shadow clones and had them transform into the sisters perfectly, I say we let the copies help Kid while we relax while he doesn't bother us, he said smiling as Patty gave him a hug. Just then the door was kicked off its hinges by Black Star. Yoshide Ha-1, he shouted showing them the pen in his hand, a magic marker. Said Maka questioningly as Naruto slapped the boy on the back of the head. No shouting in the office and no breaking door, he said to the boy who shrugged. He jumped on the bed. To help you get better the great Black Star will autograph you face, he said leaning close with the pen only to have the back of his shirt yanked by Naruto and held in the air. No writing on patience Black Star, do what I do and do it on people who fall asleep in class like Soul does, he said making the boy's head turn. That was you, he accused. No, Naruto replied. Thanks Naruto-san, I bet he would have drawn me a mustache if he's been able, she said relieved he didn't. No problem Maka just get well soon, we need the level-headed people well in this group, he said chuckling as she did the same. It was then that Sid knocked on the door and walked in. It's as lively as usual. Oh nice look, he said noticing Nigus in her outfit. Sid, is there something you need? She asked her partner. Nigus, Naruto do you have a minute? He said as the two walked over to him as the other continued to talk. New intelligence has come from Azusa of the Death Scythes. I can't tell you here so follow me. Both nodded and left the room not noticing Black Star listening in. What is it Sid? Asked Nigus once they were outside the room. We've received some intelligence from Azusa and it seems that we've found one of the laboratories of the organization of Arachne. The witch who fought your group Naruto, Arachnophobia, it looks like they are building some sort of evil demon tool, he explained. Naruto I know you have previous experience with infiltration work as a ninja so you're coming with us. Our job is to determine the structure and the purpose of the tool and then destroy it. We're leaving right away and I've asked Marie to look after Maka, he continued getting a nod from Naruto. That's Azusa for you, very capable, and in the location. She asked, Azusa's going to brief us, but we are the only ones going since she read your profile Naruto and was impressed, now let's go, said Sid as the three walked off not taking note of the eavesdropping Black Star and Soul. Soul, can you get Tsubaki over here? He asked to his best friend, Black Star he began to say, I'm going to tail Sid and Naruto and destroy that facility, he said. Are you crazy? I've seen that witch and she's not your average enemy, said Soul warning the cyan-haired assassin, who blew the wall slightly with his wavelength in anger. I'm going to attack an enemy of Maka's and I won't forgive anyone who'd laid a hand on my comrade, he said with conviction. Then I'll go too, said Soul. No Soul, you should stay with Maka, sorry, replied Black Star. Break X. At the Demon Tool Construction Laboratory Mosquito and one of the scientists were walking through the halls. How are the results of the morality manipulation machine experiment, favorable? Asked the small old man in a butler's uniform with a strangely pointed nose. Yes, we're in the last stages of fine-tuning, replied the minion. They looked at the machine that could only be described as a very odd electric chair. If one totally loses one's morality, insanity cannot be born. Then again plotting insanity is just a different morality. With this demon tool we'll lower people's notions of morality and even if it's just a little, bring out their insanity. Arachne-sama wants that boy Medusa was interested to go under manipulation when we catch him, said Mosquito to the other person in the room who was chewing on a reed. Mifune stood to his back to the wall. Rather than guarding that little witch, why don't you become my bodyguard? That sound good to you, he offered to the samurai as Angela ran to him. Not interested, he said plainly as he put her on his shoulder. I just so whatever I have to protect Angela, he said while thinking, sorry Uzumaki. The two guards were muttering to each other just as two knives were embedded in each of their skulls, one being Nigus and the other a Hiraishin kunai. The souls of the guards were absorbed by their weapons as Nigus commented, nicely done, Sid spoke into his mic, we've reached point B, no problem so far, what's our next move, he asked Yumi over the radio as Naruto dropped down. You're quick, wait one moment while I look at the map. Prepare to synchronize with me, she said as she activated her ability, Senrigan. Yumi was able to map out the area from Sid's position, it's 32 meters to the target. The passage is 3.5 meters wide, okay with this the map of the complex is complete, she finished cutting off the sink. How's it look? Asked Naruto into his mic, go 15 meters ahead along the hallway you're in then take the stairs on your left. The target, the demon tool is in the inner room there, she explained. That's a really helpful ability Yumi-san. With that you can survey an area and makes plans based off what you see, any chance of a game of chess after this? He asked the woman who chuckled over the radio. Indeed it's useful but I can only see within a radius of 50 meters using Sid, who's synchronized with me as a medium and yes I'd love a game after this and thanks for talking with Shinigami-sama about letting me have a room at the mansion saves money on hotels, said Yumi smiling at Naruto's sentiment. He had asked Yumi to move in since she and Marie were very good friends and was one of the few who could honest to God get along with Kid and his need for neatness. The signal is weak in the room containing the target, but there's one witch's soul, one aging monster's soul, and be careful, there's an extremely powerful, strong soul present, she said, making Naruto try and feel out the souls. It's not a strong magic power in the strong soul, Mifune, but why are they here? He thought to himself. The alarms started going off and the two were shocked. Impossible, we were detected. Questioned Sid as he and Naruto hugged the wall as two lackeys ran past. Move it, it's the front door. An shouted. We should hurry and tell the bodyguard, said the other. Yumi-san checks what's happening at the front door, said Naruto. Yes, I'm checking it now, she said, reactivating her Senrigan, which showed her Black Star fighting off soldiers. It's a Shibuyan student, she told them. X break X. My, what a lively guest, said Mosquito as he walked out at the front with Angela behind him. That Tsubaki noticed. That kid, she muttered as Mifune walked out to the front. Mifune remembered Black Star's face and Black Star did the same. Bastard, said Black Star as Mifune asked why. Bodyguard Mifune, what are you doing here? Asked Tsubaki. I swing my sword to protect children, to protect Angela. And yet why are you, who are also children, appearing in front of me again? He answered back. What's the matter? Asked Mosquito as he took Angela's hand in his. Come this way, Angela, he said, grinning. How interesting, said Black Star as Mifune drew his sword. Well then, it's a fight, he said. Let's go, infinite one sword style, he said, flinging his other swords into the air that embedded themselves into the ground. There's an oppressive feeling coming from each sword struck in the ground, said Black Star as he quickly blocked a strike from Mifune. Who? This child can stop Mifune's brute strength, but that's not all there is to Mifune's sword, said Mosquito, observing the first move made in Mifune using his foot to try and cut Black Star. He maneuvered out the way and swung with his free fist. He was stopped by Mifune's hand. I don't need a sword to parry, an immediate counterattack, I can tell from your movements you've matured. I guess you're no longer a child, he commented calmly despite the fight. Of course, said Black Star, said as Mifune jumped back, I've mature. The great Black Star has already beaten you once, try not to sound so conceited, he said. You're the one who sounds conceited. Mifune likes kids, so he's not fighting seriously against a kid like you. Mifune is even stronger when he's serious, Angela shouted to the boy she found annoying, remembering that only her friend Naruto could fight Mifune evenly. Why is that kind of person? Asked Tsubaki. I won't forgive you if you go easy, you understand, said Mosquito sternly. Though I might say my opponent is a kid, there's no way I'll lose to the same opponent twice, said Mifune, getting ready. Meanwhile, Sid was tacking photos of the demon tool. So this is the demon tool we've heard about. It looks like it's meant to manipulate human morality. Azusa, what's going on with the situation at the front door? He asked as Naruto was placing explosives around the facility. Right now the Shibuyan students are in battle with the person with the strong soul. However, the difference in strength is clear. It's overwhelming, she informed them. Well, I better set my explosives and destroy this thing. Naruto should be done with his soon anyway. We weren't expecting it, but those Shibuyan students going on a rampage made this operation go smoothly. I don't know who it is, but I'll wait for you, he said, setting his timer. Black Star now using his Kusarigama threw the chain around one of the sword and pulled on the chain, launching the sword toward Mifune. I'll send your sword right back at you, he shouted as he blade span rapidly toward Mifune. He caught it with ease. He threw the sickle toward Mifune. He dodged. As it, I'd let you run, said Black Star as he pulled the chains to sweep. Mifune picked up a third sword and jumped in the air. 3 shining paths, he shouted, throwing the blades into the chain links, trapping it. I see. The swords Mifune carries aren't just for swing, commented Mosquito as Mifune ran atop the sword handles toward Black Star. He swung at him, but Black Star's reflexes allowed him to dodge. Only for Mifune to catch and trip Black Star with his own chain before going for a double blade strike. He got him, said Mosquito. Smoke bomb mode, said Tsubaki as she dispersed into smoke, blocking Mifune from his target. Ninjutsu, Kusarigama and smoke bomb, that demon weapon perhaps, muttered Mosquito. You really saved me that time. Tsubaki now Yodo mode, he commanded as the blade appeared in his hand, pulsing with dark energy. There's no mistaking it, that weapon is part of the clan descended from the demon weapon Arachne-sama created. I'd heard that Shinigami obtained of them, so it's her, noted Mosquito. Black Star charged forward with a frontal attack that was blocked by Mifune. What a sinister blade, he thought. Tsubaki, said Black Star, said as she came out of his shadow as a whip-like entity. Okay, she replied. Shadow Star, he shouted as the shadow rapidly began swiping at Mifune, who blocked all the attacks. So it's this sort of thing, Yoto, said Mifune as he dodged out the path of the swipes and in front of Black Star, he escaped. Said Tsubaki, wondering how he broke through their defense. Infinite one sword style, addition blows, 1 blow, 2, 3, 4 blows. 5, 6, 7, 8 blows, 9, 10, 11, 12 blows, he said as Mifune struck Black Star with 12 swords that remained close to his body. Multiplication, he said as Black Star was hit again, he's hitting the surrounding swords, noted Tsubaki, 24 blows, he finished as the swords surrounding Black Star blew away back into the ground. He cut him again with all 12 blades, said Mosquito impressed with Mifune's skill as Black Star fell to the floor and Tsubaki shifting back to human form. Black Star, she called to her down partner. That should be enough, the wounds are shallow. You're called Tsubaki, right? Hurry and take the kid and get out of here, said Mifune, his back turned to them. Why is a samurai like you a witch's underling? Tsubaki shouted at Mifune, not understanding why someone so powerful worked with a witch. Why did you guys come here? Is it because it's a witch's facility? He enemies of Shibuzan. He asked her back. A friend of ours is suffering due to a witch's curse, in retaliation for that, she defended. Is that so? Sorry about that, he muttered. There's no need for you to apologize, you're a good person, you shouldn't wield your sword for an organization like this. A skilled martial artist like you who likes kids should be part of Shibuzan staff, you could be a teacher, she shouted, shocking Mifune. What, me a teacher? He said as he thought about little children calling him Mifune-sensei. Don't say such stupid thing, he stuttered while thinking of how he met Angela 2 years ago, but then remembered something else. If you need some help getting out of a sticky situation, let me know, he remembered Naruto saying to him when they first met. Shit, he took it easy on me, muttered Black Star as he got up. What is it, Mifune? Why don't you hurry and finish them off? Asked Mosquito. The match is over, he answered back. Shibuzan is our greatest enemy, there's no reason for us to let them live. If you don't do it, you shouldn't think Angela-sama will continue to be protected, said Mosquito with an underlying threat. Damn it, I don't have the kunai to contact Uzumaki when I need him. Kuso, he though as he readied his blade. Sorry, he muttered as something tore through Mosquito behind him. A figure then rose from the shadow behind Angela and grabbed her, sinking into the shadows and appearing behind Black Star holding the small witch. Mifune, stand down, ordered Naruto, holding Angela to his chest. I'm taking Angela with me, Mifune. If you want to see her come to the city alone and without the ancient there, the choice is yours. And don't worry, nothing will happen to her, he said as he disappeared with Angela, Tsubaki and Black Star in a flash. Mifune then blocked a second shot with his sword, silently thanking Naruto for taking Angela as he knew he'd be safe with him. A sniper? Where is he? Asked Mosquito, holding his side as the building began exploding. Mosquito-sama, there was a bomb in the room the machine was in. We can no longer hold the facility. Before it's destroyed we should evacuate, said the lackey. Blood. I need blood, muttered Mosquito as he stuck his nose into the lackey and drained him dry. Do as you wish, Mifune, but know that Angela will no longer be protected by Arachne-sama if you choose the wrong side in this war, said Mosquito, moving away. Sid, holding Yumi in her gun form, was lying on top of the van. I knew it was Black Star when I felt the soul signal, he said as Nigus set off another explosion. Good thing shooting the old man gave Naruto the chance to get them and the witch out of there, with you tremendous precision, right Azusa? He said to the gun in his hands. Indeed, I can fire up to 10 kilometers and the margin of error is less than 1 millimeter. Although I'm surprised at his tactics, the samurai only fought for the sake of the witch. With Naruto capturing her, he ceases his attack, and due to his ultimatum there's a chance of acquiring a powerful ally. That chess game will be tough for me, I think, she mused. X break X. Naruto, as his group dropped in front of the school, is everyone alright? He asked, getting nods from the students, so he turned his attention to Angela. Sorry I had to do that, Angela-chan, but my hand was forced, he said to the girl in his arms. Naruto-kun, will Mifune be on his way soon? She asked, getting a smile from Naruto. Of course he is, Angela-chan. In the meantime you can stay with me and play with Blair and my new friend Marie, is that alright? He asked, getting a nod from the girl and confused looks from Black Star and Tsubaki. Before you ask, I had already met the two of them when I first got to Death City. Mifune is one of the few who can really help me train with my weapons, he said as Kyuubi popped out and took Angela in his arms, who immediately cheered for her cuddly fox and rubbed his belly to his hidden pleasure. Black Star, me and Kyuubi watched your fight and can tell you are certainly getting stronger, so you just have to keep moving forward. But you also need to try and understand the additional presence inside Tsubaki-chan. Kyuubi says if you do that Yodo will respond, he'd tell you himself, but you can see for yourself, he said, chuckling at Kyuubi's tails wagging in happiness for the belly rub. And don't worry about the sword itself, since I know Tsubaki-chan is a great one, remember that, he said as he started walking to his father's room. He knocked on the door and came into the room and eventually was in front of the mirror where his father's image was waiting. Naruto-kun, it seems that you have helped out a few people today, and who is the young lady with you? He asked in the light tone. This sweet little girl is Angela-chan, another guest for the house. Her guardian will be here soon and will be joining us at the house. I'm really glad we live at the mansion, otherwise finding a place for everyone would be a predicament, he said, laughing. That Shinigami nodded at. You certainly are still unpredictable when you work, Naruto-kun, and still manage to find allies in enemies. I know it troubles you to be placed in the middle of another war, but I thank you for your aid in all this, he said with a small bow. Naruto took Angela and rested her on his shoulder like Mifune did. I'll admit I hate the fact that they're war at the moment, but that doesn't mean I won't protect what's precious and prove that it is possible for humans and witches to coexist, a case which I pointed out to you over one of my classmates, he said cryptically. That Shinigami understood. Well, good job, Naruto-kun, and welcome to Shibuya, Angela-chan, he said, waving his big hands, which got a big smile on the girl's face. Break X. Naruto was currently taking a bath at home, washing away the day's worries. With Arachne's group on the move, it's only a matter of time before she resurfaces. I may have to ask the sisters to help me out since Aruka-chan won't be free much longer. Goddamn Medusa, why did you have to do all this? I should question why I still love her, but then again I do have history with snakes, he thought as he washed his hair. Kyuubi would had added his input but was napping from the belly rub Angela gave him. The girl loved the feel of his fur and giggled at his reactions to her rubbing. Not every day you get an all-powerful beast purr in your hands. Mizune-chan told me about the sway of magic all witches go through, and we don't know her magic type yet to find out. The girls should be a good influence on her, and if I give the sisters the kunai I can get them to help out when the times comes, he continued to think. He then remembered Mifune's fight with Black Star. Knowing him, he's not taken it well. With the Kishin incident he may feel like he failed, although Tsubaki-chan will help him with it alongside Sol and the others. Hopefully as good as Stein's new partner Nemu, a strange girl who could turn into a trip-pointed spear. She also loved to experiment of living things. Naruto still wondered where he found the perfect weapon match for him, but decided not to get a headache over it. As he got out and put on his clothes as the bell rang, he quickly zipped to the front door and opened it to find Tsubaki in a pair of jeans and a cream sweater. Oh, Tsubaki-chan, what can I help you with? Come in, he said, letting her in. Thank you, Naruto-kun, but your mask. She pointed out that he wasn't wearing one. Oh yeah, just had a bath before you rang, must have forgot to put it on, and I think everyone in the house has seen my face anyway, except Yumi-san and Marie-san, he noted. So is there anything I can help you with, Tsubaki-chan? He asked, smiling, which was 5 times more charming with the mask off. I just came over to say thank you for helping us out today with the fight with Mifune-san. And for giving him the chance to get away from that organization. He really didn't deserve to be there, she said, blushing slightly. It's no problem, Tsubaki-chan. We've talked about Angela being around other people so that she might not grow up to be like destructive witches. If anything, because of your suggestion to him of being a teacher, I should thank you, he said as he took out his violin and played, Mo, tte itai nan dezu ka. Gurren Lagann Ost do not own. Tsubaki enjoyed his playing as he hadn't done it much lately and was pleased she had this moment to herself. She had honestly wanted to talk to Naruto about how she felt. Ever since he had helped her with her brother, she found herself more drawn in by his kindness and charm. Her heart leapt when she had received a pearl necklace in her room, with a card from Naruto saying Merry Christmas. Come on, Tsubaki, you can do this. He's always there for you and likes you, so just ask him, she thought, trying to psyche herself up. And Naruto-kun, she stuttered, blushing, holding the bottom of her sweater. He turned to her. Yes, Tsubaki-chan. He said. Do you like me? She asked. Of course I do, Tsubaki-chan, why wouldn't I? He replied as she shook her head. No, I mean, do you like me, more than a friend, like Blair-chan? She questioned, pushing out a lot of courage to do this. No, I don't like you like Blair-chan, Tsubaki-chan, I like you in a different way, like I do for Liz-chan and Patty-chan. He said, smiling as the girl's head jerked up to see a soft smile on his face. And before you ask, I didn't make the first move because you have to want this. With all that I am, I attract trouble and I don't want to put anyone I care for in danger, so I have to ask. Tsubaki-chan, are you sure you want to be with me? He asked as the girl nodded, not trusting her voice at the moment due to him saying he liked her. He could tell she was nervous, so tilted her head a little and kissed her. She was shocked but quickly got into the kiss, their tongue massaging each other and exploring each other's mouth. He wrapped his arms around her as she did the same as he stroked her back, earning a moan from her, allowing his tongue to explore further into her mouth. They eventually broke away for lack of air. Panting slightly, she stared at Naruto and after a minute asked, "See, can we do that again please, Naruto-kun?" She asked, to which Naruto resumed the makeout moment and moved one of his hands to her rear and gave a squeeze of a cheek, making her moan more into the kiss. She grabbed the back of his shirt, not wanting the moment to stop, as despite her gentle nature, Tsubaki had wanted to do this and more to Naruto since she received her necklace. She wanted to be the one that helped him through the pain and forget Medusa, in short, hidden pervert, which showed as she moaned louder into the kiss. Sadly, her moment was ended by Naruto and she whined for the lack of contact. Now Tsubaki-chan, we can't run before we walk. We're going on dates before we do anything else, otherwise it's unfair to the others, and if we do more here we're going to be caught, he said as she blushed redder at the thought of being watched and nodded. We'll go on a date soon, I promise, but until then good night Tsubaki-chan and see you tomorrow, he said, giving her a small kiss this time before showing her out. Bye Naruto-kun, she said as she left with a big smile over her face. As Naruto closed the door he sighed in relief that Tsubaki had revealed her feeling now and could date her now. He smiled as he made his way to the Mizune's room and walked in, seeing the eldest reading and the other sisters watching TV. Mizune-chan, can we talk? He asked the eldest, getting a nod. He sat down at the table next to the mature witch. I think I need to let you go, he said, getting a shocked look from the woman. I know it seems off, but I have this feeling that Medusa will reappear soon and Iruka-chan's going to need help. What I'm asking if for you to play the bad guys or gals until I can get Iruka and remove her snakes, he explained to Mizune. Do you trust us not to turn our backs on you? She asked, getting a nod. You have given me no reason to not trust you, but if you do this all of you will have to carry the special kunai that can teleport you or me. I'd like to be able to get you to help me and the others raise Angela when the sway kicks in so she doesn't get violent tendencies, he told her. You realize that if we do this we will most likely have to attack you friends. She told him, getting a nod again. Then I guess we'll do it. I and my Ness-sans trust you Naruto-kun since you've showed kindness where others showed anger. She smiled at him. Thank you Mizune-arg. He grabbed his head in pain as his memories started again. He fell from his chair, gripping his hair as he saw the hand sticking out of her chest, and the rage in the killer's eyes. Flashback. You should have learned to protect your wives better Naruto-kun. Especially the ones that I can use to my advantage. Even with her curse mark gone, Anko still has some or Orochimaru-sama's chakra that I can use, whereas Tayuya no longer has any, so she is useless. Say goodbye to your wives Naruto-kun, she a minute at the most, enjoy it while you can, and don't worry, I'll take good care of Anko, said Kabuto after his snake hands had pierced through Tayuya as she, Naruto and Anko were escaping for better ground. Naruto was torn, wanting to stay with Tayuya in her final moments or follow Kabuto. He decided to use 20 Kage Bunshin to follow him as he brought Tayuya's face to his. Tayuya-chan, please, speak to me, he said in tears. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry, I wasn't fast enough, she said as bled heavily. No Tayuya-chan, it's my fault, I couldn't protect you or Anko-chan. I failed in the most important mission, protecting my loves from harm, he told her, holding her close. Hey, still can't believe a shrimp like you ended up turning into such a handsome man and me ending up falling in love with you, she said, remembering when she had woke to see his face after he brought her back to the village after finding her. Please don't leave me Tayuya-chan, I don't want to lose someone else. I don't want to lose the one who taught me the beauty of music, he said, crying as she did the same. I can't stop bleeding Naruto-kun, and we don't have medical training enough for this. Just do me one thing Naruto-kun, she said. What? He asked. Even when I'm gone, don't forget the music that you play. It's a beauty to be shared with the world. Promise you'll continue to play. Promise me Naruto-kun, she pleaded, getting a slow nod from Naruto. Let me have my flute Naruto-kun, I want to play one more time, she said as Naruto brought her instrument to her lips. She played until she could no longer breathe and went limp in Naruto's arms. Goodbye to Yuya-chan, he said, kissing her forehead before sealing her body in a scroll and chasing after Kabuto, now holding the flute in his hand. Flashback end. Naruto's vision came back into focus and saw all the Mizune sisters standing over him. Sorry, the memories vary in strength and sometimes I can't handle them, he said, wiping the tears from his eyes. Naruto-kun, how long has it been like this for you? Asked the eldest Mizune, concerned. Since the Kishin's revival, the memories flash in my mind and I have no control over them, he told her as he got into a sitting position. The youngest Mizune took him in a hug. We heard you talking and we can tell you were suffering, said the littlest Mizune. He patted her on the head. It's the pain I have to take, he said solemnly. The eldest hugged him from the back. You're too good to have to suffer that, Naruto-kun. It's worse at nights, isn't it? She asked as Naruto nodded. Then you're staying with us tonight and leave tomorrow after you inform Shinigami about it. When you need me, just summon me, okay Naruto-kun? She said. Thank you Mizune-chan, thank you all, he said as the eldest just rocked him in his position to calm him down from his memory flash.